not be allowed again, so we have taken a resolution.
Right, Samit Patra of the BJP who are briefing the press. Let's listen in.
कुर्सी पर बैठने के पश्चात उन्होंने माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी से कहा कि आप अपने मंत्रिमंडल से तारुफ इंट्रोडक्शन कराइए। माननीय नरेंद्र मोदी जी अपने मंत्रिमंडल से इंट्रोडक्शन कराते हैं, अपने कैबिनेट से इंट्रोडक्शन कराते हैं और उसके पश्चात हमारे स्पीकर वाचस्पति उन्होंने इमरजेंसी के विषय में कहा। इसमें कोइंसिडेंसेस क्या क्या है देखिए। 26 तारीख का कोइंसिडेंस है, कोइंसिडेंस है कैबिनेट का। जब 50 वर्ष पहले 26 तारीख को प्रातःकाल भारतवर्ष को पता चला था कि इंदिरा जी ने देश में आपातकाल लगाया है, उस समय आपको जान के आश्चर्य होगा, केवल भारतवर्ष को ही आश्चर्य नहीं हुआ था, इंदिरा जी के कैबिनेट को भी आश्चर्य हुआ था, क्योंकि इंदिरा जी के कैबिनेट को भी मालूम नहीं था कि आपातकाल लगा दिया गया है। 25 और 26 के मध्य रात्रि के आसपास चिट्ठी भेज करके इंदिरा गांधी जी ने बिना अपने कैबिनेट के सहमति के उन्होंने राष्ट्रपति से हस्ताक्षर करवाए थे। अगले दिन कैबिनेट की बैठक हुई और पोस्ट फैक्टो उस रिजोल्यूशन को एडॉप्ट किया गया, जिसके विषय में आज ओम बिड़ला जी ने बताया कि पोस्ट फैक्टो पाप करने के बाद उस पर मोहर लगवाने का काम इंदिरा गांधी जी ने अपने कैबिनेट से कराया। लोकतांत्रिक तरीके से स्पीकर का चुनना, सारे कन्वेंशन को ताक पे रख के भारतीय जनता पार्टी और एनडीए के सदस्यों द्वारा कल अपील करने के पश्चात भी कि कन्वेंशन नहीं है, स्पीकर पे इलेक्शन नहीं होता है, चलिए मिलके चलते हैं, एक लोकतांत्रिक तरीके से निर्वाचन होता है। और दूसरा अहम विषय है कि कैबिनेट का इंट्रोडक्शन होता है और कैबिनेट को साथ लेकर चलने की बात प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी देश के सामने टीवी पर पूरा देश देख रहा होता है। तारीख वही है, 50 वर्ष पहले सदन के पटल पर बिना कैबिनेट के अनुमति के आपातकाल लगाया जाना, और वह भी इंदिरा गांधी जी द्वारा। आज यह जो पूरी प्रक्रिया हुई है, मुझे लगता है इसने सबको बहुत कुछ सिखाया है। निंदा प्रस्ताव लाया गया, ओम बिड़ला जी ने निंदा प्रस्ताव रखा। निंदा प्रस्ताव के दौरान उन्होंने इमरजेंसी के समय जो जो विघ्न बाधाएं थी, जो दिक्कतें थी, उन सब दिक्कतों को ओम बिड़ला जी ने उजागर किया। उन्होंने याद दिलाया कि किस प्रकार से मीसा कानून में परिवर्तन करके नेचुरल जस्टिस को बाधित किया गया था, हजारों लोगों को किस प्रकार जेल में डाला गया था। और मैं बता दूं, 1,40,000 लोगों को जेल में डाला गया था, लगभग 22 कस्टोडियल डेथ्स हुई थी। और जिन लोगों को जेल में डाला गया था, आप तो अटल बिहारी वाजपेयी, आडवाणी जी और जो हमारे जनसंघ के लोग थे, नेता थे।
Right, that is of course the BJP briefing underscoring the point once again about the attack on Congress as far as emergency era is concerned. Let's also listen in to other reactions, opposition reactions coming in on this issue.
Look, I think the Speaker's election went out fairly amicably, and as you saw, all the opposition leaders stood up and pledged cooperation with the Speaker and talked about the need for the House to function through consensus and through all voices being heard. It's rather unfortunate, it seems to me, that the Speaker himself has ended up undermining that spirit with a very divisive statement about the emergency, which frankly was not necessary. It was 49 years ago. It's not even a round number anniversary to even mention it. But if you have to mention it, to go on at such length on a day in which the message was supposed to be one of conciliation, cooperation and consensus, was most unfortunate.
See, a lot of water has flown in the Ganga since 1975. Mrs. Indira Gandhi has expressed regret over it, and was defeated in an election in 1977 and won an election in 1980 to come back as Prime Minister. But the BJP must stop driving a car only by looking at the rear view mirror. They must have a forward-looking agenda, and it's quite surprising why the treasury benches are protesting. What is the treasury protesting? If they want to protest, they can come to the opposition and give us an opportunity to be in the treasury. We'll gladly take it.
देखिए, ये तमाम बीजेपी के लोगों ने जो आज किया है वो दिखावा किया है। ऐसा नहीं कि केवल उस समय वही जेल गए हों, समाजवादी नेता और समाजवादी उस समय के जितने जनता पार्टी या तमाम नेताओं ने भी उस समय को देखा, लेकिन हम पीछे मुड़ के कितना देखें, हम पास्ट को कितना देखें।
यही लोकसभा अध्यक्ष है जो एक झटके में 100 से ज़्यादा सांसदों को निलंबित कर रहा था। आपातकाल में ऐसा नहीं हुआ।
Right, I'm joined by my colleague Vasudha for more on this. Vasudha, it's the new parliament session, but once again, old disruptions which we are seeing in parliament once again. But this time around, the BJP actually staging the protest at the steps of the new parliament building. In a way, we can see that there's a fierce face-off which is taking place right in the first week of the new session of parliament, whereas it's the Save the Constitution pitch from the opposition and the NDA countering it with by pointing at the emergency era to the Congress.
Absolutely, Tanima, and we've also been reporting that emergency has been something that has been very critical to the BJP's rise and expansion. In fact, many of the BJP leaders today who are in very strong, important positions, including the Prime Minister, actually, in some ways, the emergency did play a critical role in their political careers. They, in some ways, understood the power of resistance, during the emergency, which was from 1935 to 1977. But that apart, I think what is more important is also the thing that you mentioned, that the Constitution has been the central theme of Lok Sabha elections 2024. In fact, it was a very important part of the discourse of the opposition, with the opposition claiming that it's the BJP that is going to change the Constitution, and the BJP saying that, it's actually the opposition that has had a precedent, that has had a history of doing that. In fact, that was the point behind today's protest too. The Prime Minister, in fact, led by all the BJP leaders. The BJP also wanted to make it a point that it is the only party that is capable of protecting and safeguarding the Constitution, while the only time that the Constitution of the country was changed was during the Congress party's rule. So that was the big message that the party wanted to drive across. But at the same time, it was also about a show of strength and the fact that while the Congress has been sending out these messages and, these politically loaded undertones that, it cannot be taken for granted and consensus will not be available without any efforts being made from the government side, the BJP is also wanting to make it clear that it has the numbers on its side. Numbers are of advantage to the BJP, and it will protest even if it is in the ruling space, because it has been because a country that remembers its past will do well in future. That is why the Prime Minister himself has also been revoking the emergency time and again in his tenure as the Prime Minister of the country.
Vasudha there, thank you so much for joining us with that. Now, staying with news from the Parliament, Om Birla has become the Lok Sabha Speaker once again, the second straight term for Om Birla as the Speaker. Prime Minister Modi and Leader of Opposition Rahul Gandhi both were seen congratulating Om Birla after the Speaker election was completed by a voice vote. In fact, Prime Minister Modi said that Om Birla is an inspiration for several other MPs, especially the younger MPs in Parliament. Rahul Gandhi added that he's confident that the Speaker will ensure fairness inside Parliament and that the opposition's voice won't be silenced.
अमृत काल के इस महत्वपूर्ण कालखंड में दूसरी बार इस पद पर विराजमान होना बहुत बड़ा दायित्व आपको मिला है और आपका 5 वर्ष का अनुभव और आपके साथ हम लोगों का 5 साल का अनुभव, हम सबका विश्वास है कि आप आने वाले 5 साल हम सबका मार्गदर्शन भी करेंगे और देश की आशा अपेक्षाएं पूर्ण करने के लिए ये सदन अपना दायित्व निभाने में आपकी बहुत बड़ी भूमिका रहेगी।
माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी, केंद्रीय परिषद के माननीय सभी सदस्यगण, सभी दलों के नेतागण, सभी माननीय सदस्यगण, मुझे पुनः इस महान सदन के पीठासीन अधिकारी के रूप में दायित्व निर्वहन करने का अवसर प्रदान किया, इसके लिए मैं आपका हार्दिक आभार व्यक्त करता हूं।
I'd like to congratulate you for your successful election, for the second time that you have been elected. I'd like to congratulate you on behalf of the entire opposition, on behalf of the India Alliance. Speaker Sir, this House represents the voice of India's people. And you, Speaker Sir, are the final arbiter of that voice. Of course, the government has political power, but the opposition also represents the voice of India's people. And this time, the opposition represents significantly more voice of the Indian people than it did last time.
आप इस सदन के स्पीकर दोबारा चुने गए हैं। आपके पास 5 साल का जहां अनुभव रहा है, वहीं आपके पुराने और नए सदन का भी आपको अनुभव रहा है। मैं अपनी तरफ से, अपने साथ के सभी सदस्यों की तरफ से बहुत बहुत बधाई और शुभकामना देता हूं। जिस पद पर आप जिस पद पर आप बैठे हैं, इससे बहुत गौरवशाली परंपराएं जुड़ी हुई हैं और हम सब यही मानते हैं कि बिना भेदभाव के आगे बढ़ेगा।
Right, update coming in on the Karnataka sex crimes case, and JDS leader Prajwal Ravanna's bail plea has in fact been rejected by the Karnataka court, which had in fact been looking into the issue, and the special court has rejected the bail plea of Prajwal Ravanna. That's news just coming in. This in connection with the Karnataka sex crimes case, and the court made its decision after hearing arguments of the special public prosecutor, of course, representing the SIT, which is probing the matter. And this is, of course, another setback for the former JDS MP from Hassan. Prajwal Ravanna's bail plea has, in fact, been rejected. So, the court pronouncing its order just a short while back, this in connection to the Karnataka sex crimes case. Remember that Prajwal Ravanna had been, of course, in police custody. He had been sent to jail a few days back, but then the SIT, after getting some fresh evidence, had in fact taken his police custody once again, and following which Prajwal Ravanna had in fact also filed for bail earlier, but now his bail plea has in fact been rejected. This is a fresh breaking update that we are getting on the Karnataka sex crimes case. There's no relief for the JDS leader there. Prajwal Ravanna's bail plea rejected by the court. So, for the benefit of our viewers who are just joining in, Prajwal Ravanna's bail plea has been rejected by a Karnataka court there. Remember that the JDS leader, of course, is the main accused in the Karnataka sex crimes case. There are thousands of videos which the police, the special investigating team looking into this investigation, looking into this probe, has in fact taken cognizance of when it comes to this case. Thousands of videos linked to Prajwal Ravanna, and there are cases of sexual harassment, sexual assault, which have been filed against him, also a kidnapping case which has been filed against him, multiple cases in which Prajwal Ravanna as well as his father, who's also a JDS leader, HD Ravanna, they are both accused in these cases. Remember, Prajwal Ravanna, of course, is related to former Prime Minister H.D. Devegowda, a JDS leader. And at the moment, what we can in fact see is that the court in Karnataka there has rejected the bail plea of Prajwal Ravanna in connection to this case. There are at least 4 FIRs which have been filed against Prajwal Ravanna in connection to the obscene videos case. As I mentioned, that it's not just these videos which are under the scanner of the Karnataka police. They're also looking at accusations of kidnapping. The women who have come forward and complained against Prahlad Ranas and his father, H.D. Ranas, they have also cited incidents of intimidation and harassment. Let me go across to my colleague Pratibha for more on this. Pratibha, what details have come out from the court so far?
Well, in fact, the fact is that this is a bail application that had been adjourned to today where the orders were reserved. And this is with respect to the first case that was filed against Prahlad Ranas, and that involved grave allegations like rape. So in total, we have 4 cases registered against Prahlad Ranas, and 3 that involves rape and 1 that includes sexual harassment there. So with all these 4 cases that are lying against him, it is going to be a difficult task for Prahlad Ranas to get bail in all of these cases, because right now the investigation is on. The SIT has sought custody of Prahlad Ranas with respect to the 4th FIR that was just recently registered there. In the meantime, this bail application that was heard by the court and rejected comes as a major setback, with more troubles that have been brewing against Prahlad Ranas as well as the entire Ranas family there. And with the 4th FIR that has also been registered against Prahlad Ranas in the recent past. Back to you.
Right. Pratibha, just for the benefit of our viewers, you were saying that this is, of course, one of the cases in which he had sought bail. If you can just tell our viewers the gamut of cases which have been filed against Prahlad Ranas and some of the serious charges which have been named, under which he has in fact been arrested.
Well, the first case came to light a little before the election that Karnataka faced, which was on April 26th. Though the video circulated, SIT was formed only after April 26th, and then months and had around 3 cases that were registered against Prahlad Ranas there, with the SIT officials approaching each those victims who were featured in over 2,000 videos. And it was right during the end of May that Prahlad Ranas was arrested. All the 3 FIRs had been registered, and as the progress, most of the FIRs had rape charges as well added to those sections, and had applied just a few days after the application of the bail, which includes sexual harassment there, section 354, and not section 376 there. So
right.
4 FIRs that have been registered against Prahlad Ranas, well, it is definitely going to be a matter of time before all these legal processes are done while the investigation is on concurrent.
Right. Pratibha, they're reporting from Bengaluru several serious sections which have been invoked in these FIRs, whether it's related to sexual harassment, stalking, sexual assault as well, criminal intimidation, and in one case, of course, a case of kidnapping has also been registered against both Prahlad Ranas as well as his father, H.D. Ranas. Remember that Prahlad Ranas had in fact been outside the country for several weeks, following which he finally returned and was arrested by the special investigation team looking into this case soon after. The JDS, of course, has alleged that this is part of the Karnataka government's vendetta politics, that they are pursuing this case in a certain manner. But of course, what we have seen that the Karnataka government has, of course, said that there will be no political vendetta in this case and that they are following due procedure as per the law. Right, shifting our focus back to one of the other stories that we have in fact been following, and that is in terms of the speaker's election today. The TMC has in fact claimed that the pro tem speaker had in fact flouted rules and did not follow protocol. According to the TMC, there were several members in the opposition from the opposition side. Several parties actually had sought a division of votes, but the pro tem speaker in fact decided on the speaker's election by a voice vote. Listen into what TMC MP Abhishek Banerjee had to say on this.
See, the rule says if any member of the House asks for division, the pro tem speaker in this case has to allow for a division. You can clearly see and hear from the footages of Lok Sabha that several members of the opposition camp has sought a division and asked for a division to put the motion to vote. And the motion was adopted without putting the motion to vote. This is a clear testament to the fact that the ruling dispensation here in the case is the BJP. It doesn't have the numbers. This government is running without the numbers. It's illegal, immoral, unethical and unconstitutional.
The Congress very categorically, and Mr. Jairam Ramesh has tweeted and made it clear that very categorically that we didn't push for division. We wanted a voice vote, but basically sending the message across that the government of the day needs to take the opposition seriously, needs to take them along, and it can't be my way or the highway. And as you saw in Parliament with the unilateral speech of the Speaker, there has already been clear, on the first day itself, protests in Parliament about the manner in which you have made that statement. So definitely there is a whole lot and a lot of, protests that will continue. You can't take, and the House is after all representative of all the members. It must be done in consultation with the opposition. It cannot be done arbitrarily, and definitely it's going to be tough going for the Speaker, because if he thinks it's going to be like the 17th Lok Sabha, sadly it is not. It is the 18th Lok Sabha where the India bloc has nearly 240 members of Parliament.
Right, we'll take a short break at this point in time. Stay tuned to NDTV.
Hello, Moto.
Motorola, India's best 5G smartphone brand.
लोन मिलेगा या नहीं, ये आपके क्रेडिट स्कोर पे डिपेंड करता है। तो आज ही पैसाबाजार.com पर जाइए और अपना क्रेडिट स्कोर चेक कीजिए फ्री में, क्योंकि लोन की जरूरत कभी भी किसी को भी पड़ सकती है।
बस एक्टिंग करा लो इनसे।
पैसाबाजार.com, क्रेडिट स्कोर चेक, आदत अच्छी है।
NDTV proudly upholds its legacy of trust and credibility. According to the prestigious Reuters Institute's Digital News Report 2024, NDTV is the top-most news platform in the country. Number one in both online and offline reach in India. Beating all its competition, NDTV stands for trust.
Get ready for the ride of your life. NDTV brings you the NDTV Auto Show with me, Mugdha Mishra. From the fastest supercars to the sleekest new energy vehicles to your trusted daily ride, we cover it all. Every Saturday at 10:30 a.m. and Sunday at 8:30 p.m. only on NDTV 24/7. Your next great escape starts here.
Stay informed and entertained with the new and updated NDTV News app. You can watch all our channels live, listen to podcasts, read breaking and exclusive news from around the world and more. Download the NDTV app today and get access to the best journalism and storytelling on your smartphone or tablet. The NDTV app. News that matters to you.
Welcome back. Now, in a short while from now, a Delhi court will in fact deliver verdict in the CBI's plea, deliver order rather, in the CBI's plea seeking 5 days custody of Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal. Remember, earlier today, CBI has arrested Kejriwal in the Delhi liquor policy case. This just came in on a day when the Supreme Court was supposed to take up Kejriwal's petition challenging the fact that the High Court had stayed his bail. Remember, a bail had been granted by a lower court to Arvind Kejriwal last week, following which we had seen that the ED rushed to the High Court seeking a stay on the bail, which was granted to them by the High Court yesterday. Today, the Supreme Court was supposed to take up Kejriwal's petition challenging that. But just before that, the CBI, in fact, moved a production warrant seeking his production in a court. And after Delhi Chief Minister was produced in court this morning, the CBI formally arrested him and in fact has now sought a 5-day custody. And we are expecting that the order from the court on CBI's plea will be coming in shortly. But let's take a look at some of the top reactions coming in on this story.
आज CBI ने पूरी कोशिश करी कि क्योंकि कुछ केस नहीं है वो चाह रहे थे कि कोई ऐसी खबर प्लांट हो जाए, सेंसेशनलाइज हो जाए इशू। सबसे बड़ा मुद्दा ये है कि सीबीआई के पास ये सारे 50,000 डॉक्यूमेंट्स 2 साल से हैं। उन्होंने कभी भी अरविंद केजरीवाल जी को बुलाया नहीं, तो कब अरविंद केजरीवाल जी विटनेस से अक्यूज्ड हो गए, ये सीबीआई आज कोर्ट में मामला अपना क्लियर नहीं कर पाई। उसी बात पे बहस चलती रही बहुत देर तक।
मनीष सिसोदिया की गिरफ्तारी और के कविता से लगातार पूछताछ चल रही थी, तो शराब नीति घोटाले में ये तो स्पष्ट है कि अरविंद केजरीवाल उसके सूत्रधार हैं और सीधा उनकी इन्वॉल्वमेंट है। तो मैं तो ये कहूँगा कि जांच एजेंसी अपना काम कर रही है और परिणाम सबके सामने आएगा।
I'm joined by my colleague Ishika. Ishika, while we wait for that court order to come out on CBI's plea, let's just refresh the memory of our viewers for that matter, that CBI as well as Enforcement Directorate both had been looking into Kejriwal's role in the Delhi excise policy case. While Kejriwal had been arrested by Enforcement Directorate after recording his statement, there had in fact been a bit of a radio silence from CBI as far as Kejriwal's connection to this case is concerned. Suddenly, we can see a number of hectic activities from the CBI on this particular case. They questioned him in Tihar yesterday, moved the production warrant as well, and now they've arrested him. What has been the justification from the CBI side as far as this is concerned?
Well, yes, Anima, as you very rightly mentioned, we have seen how, in fact, both the Central Bureau of Investigation and the Enforcement Directorate is, in fact, looking into this alleged liquor policy scam. And, we have seen that even though it was CBI who had registered this case against, against Arvind Kejriwal, it is in fact, the ED which had arrested him. Now, what we are seeing is that today CBI has formally arrested Arvind Kejriwal in the Rouse Avenue court. Remember that CBI was already questioning Arvind Kejriwal in Tihar jail for the past 2 days. Now, what in fact today the CBI has explained to the court related to the role of Arvind Kejriwal in this entire alleged liquor policy scam is what they say, that the entire liquor policy, was only modified because of the alleged South lobby. Now, they say that the liquor traders, they were informed that Arvind Kejriwal wants to meet them to formulate this policy. And after that, the meeting took place of K. Kavita as well, of Sambuta Reddy as well. And all of this happened, with the coordination of Vijay Nair, who was the communication in charge for the Aam Aadmi Party. Now, the CBI has explained that even now, if we talk about, Arvind Kejriwal, he is not accepting the fact that Vijay Nair was working under him. CBI claims that Arvind Kejriwal says that Vijay Nair was reporting to Saurabh Bhardwaj and Atashi. CBI also claimed in the court that Arvind Kejriwal is trying to put the onus on Manish Sisodia. Now, on this, it was Arvind Kejriwal who himself responded to this in the court, saying that this is a false statement. He never said that he has put the onus on Manish Sisodia. In fact, what he's saying is that he is innocent and Manish Sisodia is innocent. So, this is just a wrong statement that is coming even in the media reports, is what Arvind Kejriwal himself informed the court today. So now, certainly the, Arvind Kejriwal counsel basically says that this is a case without fact. This is a case with the tainted witness. And we are in fact now seeing, Sonama, that in fact Sunita Kejriwal has also reacted over this. Arvind Kejriwal's wife saying, that this, ED rushing to the court, in fact, to put a stay on the bail application. And then now, in fact, CBI arresting him shows that the agencies will, go to low levels to keep him in jail. So this is a reaction that we are getting, and we are still waiting for the order to come out.
Right. The Aam Aadmi Party, of course, has always maintained that this is a classic case of agency misuse, according to them. We are, of course, waiting for that order to come through from the Delhi court. Ishika there, thank you so much for joining us with that. Shifting focus now to Tamil Nadu, and the State Assembly has adopted a resolution there urging the centre to conduct a caste census. Now, the Chief Minister there, M.K. Stalin, moved the resolution today, in fact, essentially saying that a caste census, a nationwide caste census, is necessary in order to ensure equal rights to all citizens. Remember, this comes in at a very crucial juncture when the PMK has, in fact, been pushing for with its quota demand. For more on this, I'm joined by my colleague Sam Daniel. Sam, explain to us the political implication of this. It's not for the first time that we have seen opposition parties actually raising the demand of a nationwide caste census. We have seen Congress doing that earlier. In fact, for that matter, even JDU, an NDA ally now, has had a caste census in their own state. So this entire issue of caste census has come up specifically time and again as far as the opposition parties are concerned. But what is the importance of Tamil Nadu government now adopting this resolution in the Assembly?
Tanima, this comes close to the upcoming by-elections in Tamil Nadu at the Vikravandi Assembly constituency, where the PMK has a strong presence. PMK champions the cause of the 1 years, and during the earlier AIADMK regime, a law was enacted to pave way for a 10.5% internal reservation within the 20% reservation for the OBCs. But that was ultimately struck down by the Supreme Court, and ever since the PMK has been pushing the ruling DMK to do whatever it takes to make sure this will see the light of its day. For that, they require a scientifically done census or a survey to prove that each of these castes in Tamil Nadu have a certain percentage of population, with which they can convince the court that this particular reservation within reservation is legally tenable. But now, going by what happened in Bihar, although the Bihar government had earlier done a caste survey, it was ultimately struck down by the court. And now, citing that, M.K. Stalin says, well, you have your ally BJP, you should ask them to go for a nationwide caste census, with which we will have the statistics required, with which we can pave way for the 10.5 reservation for the one-year community you are championing for. And it's in that context this becomes important in terms of both context and in terms of timing. On the one hand, the PMK is cornering the ruling DMK of not doing enough to help the one-year community. But now MK Stalin is changing the goalposts or turning the table again against them, saying that, well, this should actually be done by the central government you are part of. Ask the centre to do that. And in the form of a resolution in the Assembly, the state in one voice has said the long pending decennial census, whenever it's done, make sure you add the caste census element also, so that it becomes a valid document, valid statistics to help policymakers and planners to be able to do the right thing to ensure equal rights, equal opportunity for everyone in terms of education, economy and employment.
Right, Sam, stay with us. There's also another important story that we are following from Tamil Nadu, and that is with regard to the hooch tragedy. Now, the death toll has crossed 60. 61 people have lost their lives due to the illicit liquor case in Tamil Nadu's Kallakurichi district. And the opposition there in the state has been constantly keeping up the pressure on Stalin government. Even today, the AIADMK in fact staged a protest inside the assembly, inside Tamil Nadu Assembly, seeking a discussion on that matter. You can see the shots on your screens there of the AIADMK leaders wearing black in protest. They've also demanded a CBI probe on this. Meanwhile, parallelly, in the Madras High Court today, Stalin government in fact has asked for 10 more days to file an action taken report on the matter. Going back to Sam for more on this, Sam, we can see that while the tragedy in fact claims more lives, the death toll now crossing 60, but the politics on this issue also continues unabated. The AIADMK, of course, gunning for Tamil Nadu Chief Minister and seeking his resignation, while the Stalin government tries its best to assure both the High Court as well as the opposition that they will ensure justice to the victims.
That's right, Tanima. The key opposition, the AIADMK, is turning the heat on the ruling DMK following this terrible tragedy. And on the one hand, they're trying to raise the issue on the floor of the House, but they wouldn't wait till the question hour is over. They would want this to be given priority and suspend the question hour. But the Speaker says, no, you'll have to wait for that. But it led to a ruckus, and ultimately the AIADMK MLAs were suspended, not just for the day, but for the whole session. They demand the resignation of Chief Minister M.K. Stalin, citing incompetence and that they don't trust or they don't have faith in the CBCID, which is probing this issue, saying that they allege complicity of the ruling DMK functionaries as well. On the other hand, in the Madras High Court, where 2 petitions have been filed seeking a CBI probe into this tragedy, the Tamil Nadu government today asked for a 10-day time. Last week, the court had some strong observations saying that, have you learned any lessons since just last year in a similar tragedy, 22 people were killed? And what were the lessons you learned and what steps did you put in place to make sure there is no more tragedy connected to methanol consumption? But meanwhile, another party, the PMK too, has moved the court, and it's in this context the Tamil Nadu government to refute or to counter whatever points the PMK has now raised. They have sought 10 more days' time. But what we understand from the government, based on what the Chief Minister had told on the floor of the House, is that the government has arrested 21 people so far, including those who sold allegedly, those who transported, those traders, and also those who were involved in illegally procuring and diverting methanol from neighboring Puducherry. They've also suspended the SP, a few police officers. They've transferred the collector and the ADGP in charge of enforcement. They've also appointed a one-man inquiry commission. But the larger question in terms of lessons learned, the Chief Minister says they are auditing all the factories that use methanol to have a clear account of, in terms of the stock they have, whether there's any illegal diversion. They're also studying the reports given by these companies every now and then. Besides, they have set up permanent checkposts to curb any movement of methanol. Besides that, they say they have arrested 30 people, 13 of them in Gundas Act. The cases are in their final stages. And lastly, they say over the last 3 years, more than 6 lakh litres have been destroyed, more than 1.6 lakh cases filed. But for the common man, Tanima, the big question is whether will the families who lost their near and dear ones get justice? Will the government really probe, the CBCID probe, the alleged complicity of the ruling party functionaries as well?
Right, so the tragic case there in Tamil Nadu already becoming a big political flashpoint in the state. Sam Daniel, thank you so much for joining us with that. On that note, we'll be slipping into a short break. We'll be back in just a bit. Stay tuned to NDTV.
लोन मिलेगा या नहीं, ये आपके क्रेडिट स्कोर पे डिपेंड करता है। आज ही जाइए पैसाबाजार.com पर और अपना क्रेडिट स्कोर चेक कीजिए फ्री में, क्योंकि लोन की जरूरत किसी को भी कभी भी पड़ सकती है।
चल एक्टिंग थोड़ा भेल बनो।
ये आया बात जोर। पैसाबाजार.com।
Some people say the metaverse will only be virtual. One day this lecture hall will be made of code, and driverless cars would be trapped in intersections. But even in this maze of the future, you can't wish away health. It's time to become more resilient. 10 years of Banega Swasth India, we have grown and achieved so many milestones. And now I have a plan to beat the urgency, to stop breathing with difficulty, to relieve getting choked with inactivity. Energize our government, our environment, our society, and ourselves. Everyone, everywhere, every day. Banega Swasth India. One world hygiene.
Stay informed and entertained with the new and updated NDTV News app. You can watch all our channels live, listen to podcasts, read breaking and exclusive news.
Welcome back. Now, a landslide triggered by heavy rain has blocked major roads in Himachal Pradesh's Nahan area. Currently, an operation to clear that area is underway. The dramatic shots on your screen there show the landslide, which in fact has affected that region. Video footage shows the spot where the boulders and rocks have come tumbling down. No casualties or serious injuries have been reported. Right, and moving back to one of the top political stories that we have in fact been following, and that is with regard to the emergency showdown in Parliament. Now, the three-time BJP MP Om Birla was once again re-elected as Lok Sabha Speaker today, but shortly after taking the Speaker's chair, Om Birla called for a 2-minute silence as government moved a resolution on the emergency era. Resolution on the floor of the House was followed by a protest by BJP at the steps of the Parliament building. Congress hit back with their MPs saying that raking up the emergency era repeatedly won't help the NDA.
इमरजेंसी के दौरान भारत के नागरिकों के अधिकार नष्ट कर दिए गए, नागरिकों से उनकी आज़ादी छीन ली गई। ये वह दौर था जब विपक्षी नेताओं को जेल में बंद कर दिया गया, पूरे देश को जेल खाना बना दिया गया। तब की तानाशाही सरकार ने मीडिया पर अनेक पाबंदियां लगा दी गई थी, न्यायपालिका की स्वतंत्रता पर अंकुश लगा दिया गया था। इमरजेंसी का वह समय हमारे देश के इतिहास में अन्याय काल का एक काला खंड था।
Today is the 26th June. On this day, on 26 June 1975, early morning 6 a.m., then Prime Minister Srimati Indira Gandhi called emergency cabinet meeting and ratified post facto the single decision. Prime Minister took the decision alone. Cabinet rectified on the morning of 26 June 1975. That is why today we passed the resolution in the House that such trumpulation of such demolition of the Constitution will not be allowed again. So we have taken a resolution.
देखिए, जो लोग संविधान की रक्षा की बात कर रहे थे, आज इमरजेंसी को जितना संविधान की धज्जियां उड़ाई गई, दुनिया के इतिहास में, भारत के इतिहास में इस तरह से धज्जियां नहीं कभी उड़ी हो। देश के नौजवानों को ये संसदीय व्यवस्था में जो एक बीच के कालखंड में 75 में इमरजेंसी लगा, उसे नौजवानों को जानने का जरूरी है।
Look, I think the Speaker's election went out fairly amicably, and as you saw, all the opposition leaders stood up and pledged cooperation with the Speaker and talked about the need for the House to function through consensus and through all voices being heard. It's rather unfortunate, it seems to me, that the Speaker himself has ended up undermining that spirit with a very divisive statement about the emergency, which frankly was not necessary. This was 49 years ago. It's not even a round number anniversary to even mention it. But if you have to mention it, to go on at such length on a day in which the message was supposed to be one of conciliation, cooperation and consensus, was most unfortunate.
See, a lot of water has flown in the Ganga since 1975. Mrs. Indira Gandhi has expressed regret over it, and was defeated in an election in 1977 and won an election in 1980 to come back as Prime Minister. But the BJP must stop driving a car only by looking at the rear view mirror. They must have a forward-looking agenda, and it's quite surprising why the Treasury benches are protesting. What is the Treasury protesting? If they want to protest, they can come to the opposition and give us an opportunity to be in the Treasury. We'll gladly take it.
देखिए, ये तमाम बीजेपी के लोगों ने जो आज किया है वो दिखावा किया है। ऐसा नहीं कि केवल उस समय वही जेल गए हों। समाजवादी नेता और समाजवादी उस समय के जितने जनता पार्टी या तमाम नेताओं ने भी उस समय को देखा, लेकिन हम पीछे मुड़ के कितना देखें, हम पास्ट को कितना देखें।
Right, and Om Birla there has been re-elected as the Lok Sabha Speaker, his second consecutive term as the Speaker of Lok Sabha. In fact, we saw Prime Minister Modi and Leader of Opposition Rahul Gandhi both congratulating Om Birla, who won by a voice vote. Of course, the results in that elections in a way was inevitable since NDA had the numbers in Lok Sabha, but we've heard the leaders there speaking on the floor of the House today, with Prime Minister Modi saying that Om Birla is an inspiration for younger MPs, and Rahul Gandhi as well as Akhilesh Yadav speaking as well after the election, saying that they hope that the Speaker would function in an unbiased manner. Listen in.
अमृत काल के इस महत्वपूर्ण कालखंड में दूसरी बार इस पद पर विराजमान होना बहुत बड़ा दायित्व आपको मिला है, और आपका 5 वर्ष का अनुभव और आपके साथ हम लोगों का 5 साल का अनुभव, हम सबका विश्वास है कि आप आने वाले 5 साल हम सबका मार्गदर्शन भी करेंगे और देश की आशा अपेक्षाएं पूर्ण करने के लिए ये सदन अपना दायित्व निभाने में आपकी बहुत बड़ी भूमिका रहेगी।
माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी, केंद्रीय परिषद के माननीय सभी सदस्यगण, सभी दलों के नेतागण, सभी माननीय सदस्यगण, मुझे पुनः इस महान सदन के पीठासीन अधिकारी के रूप में दायित्व निर्वहन करने का अवसर प्रदान किया, इसके लिए मैं आपका हार्दिक आभार व्यक्त करता हूं।
I'd like to congratulate you for your successful election, for the second time that you have been elected. I'd like to congratulate you on behalf of the entire opposition, on behalf of the India Alliance. Speaker Sir, this House represents the voice of India's people. And you, Speaker Sir, are the final arbiter of that voice. Of course, the government has political power, but the opposition also represents the voice of India's people. And this time, the opposition represents significantly more voice of the Indian people than it did last time.
आप इस सदन के स्पीकर दोबारा चुने गए हैं। आपके पास 5 साल का जहां अनुभव रहा है, वहीं आपके पुराने और नए सदन का भी आपको अनुभव रहा है। मैं अपनी तरफ से, अपने साथ के सभी सदस्यों की तरफ से बहुत बहुत बधाई और शुभकामना देता हूं। जिस पद पर आप जिस पद पर आप बैठे हैं, इससे बहुत गौरवशाली परंपराएं जुड़ी हुई हैं, और हम सब यही मानते हैं कि बिना भेदभाव के आगे बढ़ेगा।
Meanwhile, the TMC has cried foul over the Lok Sabha Speaker election, claiming that the pro tem Speaker didn't follow protocol, and that while there were several opposition parties who had in fact called for a division of votes, a counting of votes, but the Speaker's election was decided via voice vote. Listen into what TMC MP Abhishek Banerjee had to say.
See, the rule says if any member of the House asks for division, the pro tem Speaker in this case has to allow for a division. You can clearly see and hear from the footages of Lok Sabha that several members of the opposition camp has sought a division and asked for a division to put the motion to vote. And the motion was adopted without putting the motion to vote. This is a clear testament to the fact that the ruling dispensation here in the case is the BJP, doesn't have the numbers. This government is running without the numbers. It's illegal, immoral, unethical and unconstitutional.
We'll take a short break at this point. Stay tuned to NDTV.
Hello, Moto.
Motorola, India's best 5G smartphone brand.
NDTV proudly upholds its legacy of trust and credibility. According to the prestigious Reuters Institute's Digital News Report 2024, NDTV is the top-most news platform in the country. Number one in both online and offline reach in India. Beating all its competition, NDTV stands for trust.
Get ready for the ride of your life. NDTV brings you the NDTV Auto Show with me, Mugdha Mishra. From the fastest supercars to the sleekest new energy vehicles to your trusted daily ride, we cover it all. Every Saturday at 10:30 a.m. and Sunday at 8:30 p.m. only on NDTV 24/7. Your next great escape starts here.
Stay informed and entertained with the new and updated NDTV News app. You can watch all our channels live, listen to podcasts, read breaking and exclusive news from around the world and more. Download the NDTV app today and get access to the best journalism and storytelling on your smartphone or tablet. The NDTV app. News that matters to you.
Some people say the metaverse will only be virtual. One day this lecture hall will be made of code, and driverless cars would be trapped in intersections. But even in this maze of the future, you can't wish away health. It's time to become more resilient. "10 years of Banega Swasth India, we have grown and achieved so many milestones. And now I have a plan to beat the urgency, to stop breathing with difficulty, to relieve getting choked with inactivity. Energize our government, our environment, our society, and ourselves. Everyone, everywhere, every day. Banega Swasth India. One world hygiene.
This is NDTV. And you're watching NDTV 24/7.
Hello, Moto.
Hello and welcome. You're watching NDTV. I'm Gargi Raut. Let's take a look at the headlines we're tracking at this hour. The bail of sex crimes accused Prahlad Ranas is rejected. The special court in Karnataka rejected the bail plea. Rape charges have been added against Ranas, who's in the custody of the special investigation team. A political showdown over the emergency. The Speaker condemned the emergency in Parliament shortly after being re-elected. The Prime Minister, Lord's Om Birla, says glad he highlighted the excesses of the emergency. The Congress hits back, says the Speaker's divisive statement was unfortunate. The Supreme Court's tough stance on Delhi tree felling. The Supreme Court orders criminal proceedings against DDA officials and a contempt case linked to over 1,100 trees that were cut in the Ridge area of Delhi. The Supreme Court tells the Delhi government to act against the officials.
Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal today denied giving a statement blaming his colleague Manish Sisodia for the alleged excise policy case. This after he was arrested by the CBI while in ED custody in the same case. The agency has sought 5 days custody. The court will give its decision soon. And another encounter in Jammu and Kashmir. One terrorist is killed. The hunt on for 2 more. Our top story now, another setback to sex crimes accused Prahlad Ranas. A court in Bengaluru turned down his bail petition today. Hearing the petition in connection with a complaint registered at a police station against the former MP and his father, H.D. Ranas, the Special Court for Public Representatives was told that by the Special Public Prosecutor that charges of rape under the Indian Penal Code, Section 376, had been added to the case. The prosecutor argued that considering the gravity of the crime, bail should not be granted. The 33-year-old, who is the grandson of former Prime Minister H.D. Devegowda, has been suspended by his party, the Janata Dal Secular, after several complaints emerged against him and videos that went viral of these alleged sex crimes. He is in the custody of a special investigation team that was formed to investigate his all these complaints that have been made against him. So Prahlad Ranas, for the moment, will stay in the custody of the SIT. Well, let's go across to Pratibha now for more. And Pratibha, so another charge has been added, a rape charge has been added against Prahlad Ranas and his bail rejected.
Well, in fact, there are totally 3 FIRs that have been registered against Prahlad Ranas, and all of them have grave charges like rape. We are talking about the first one here with respect to what started off as sexual harassment, post which rape charges were added. Considering the gravity of this charge, that is precisely why the bail has been rejected, according to the court. The Karnataka High Court today, in a set of setbacks for Prahlad Ranas, did reject the bail plea with respect to the first case. What is also additional trouble for Prahlad Ranas is that there is a 4th case that has been registered in the last 2 days, where we are talking of sexual harassment alone there. So in all, 4 FIRs against Prahlad Ranas, and with respect to the first case, the bail has been rejected. We'll have to wait to see how the legal process would take place with respect to the other 3 FIRs that have been registered against Prahlad Ranas. In the meantime, the SIT officials have taken custody of Prahlad Ranas with respect to the 4th FIR. Custodial interrogation is on, and all eyes are on the kind of details that would emerge from that and how this case would reach its logical end. Back to you.
All right. Thanks so much, Pratibha, for joining us with all those latest developments. In other news, the big political fight, government versus opposition face-off over the emergency. Today, shortly after he was re-elected as the Lok Sabha Speaker, Om Birla condemned the emergency. The 50-year anniversary was yesterday. He called for a 2-minute silence, leading to protests by the opposition that have accused the government of trying to divert from more pressing issues. BJP MPs later protested on the steps of Parliament, and the Prime Minister then later posted lauding the Speaker's condemnation of the emergency, of his condemnation of those dark days. And the opposition has been attacking the government over its alleged attempts to curtail democracy, and the BJP hitting back by raising the issue of emergency and how democracy was strangled during that period, as the Prime Minister put in his social media post. Now, the Congress said the Speaker's divisive statement in the House was unfortunate, and the BJP must stop driving while looking in the rear view.
इमरजेंसी के दौरान भारत के नागरिकों के अधिकार नष्ट कर दिए गए, नागरिकों से उनकी आज़ादी छीन ली गई। ये वह दौर था जब विपक्ष के नेताओं को जेल में बंद कर दिया गया, पूरे देश को जेल खाना बना दिया गया। तब की तानाशाही सरकार ने मीडिया पर अनेक पाबंदियां लगा दी गई थी, न्यायपालिका की स्वतंत्रता पर अंकुश लगा दिया गया था। इमरजेंसी का वह समय हमारे देश के इतिहास में अन्याय काल का एक काला खंड था।
Today is the 26th June. On this day, on 26th June 1975, early morning 6 a.m., then Prime Minister Srimati Indira Gandhi called emergency cabinet meeting and ratified post facto the single decision. Prime Minister took the decision alone. Cabinet rectified on the morning of 26 June 1975. That is why today we passed the resolution in the House that such trumpulation of such demolition of the Constitution will not be allowed again. So we have taken a resolution.
पूरे देश में हिंदुस्तान के नागरिक विरोध प्रदर्शन कर रहे हैं और हिंदुस्तान के नागरिक के मानस पटल में आज का दिन एक महत्वपूर्ण दिन है। आज 26 जून 2024 है। आज से 49 इयर्स पहले आज ही के दिन 26 जून 1975 को जब देश जगी थी सुबह, तब देश को मालूम पड़ा था कि देश के ऊपर आपातकाल लगा दिया गया है, इमरजेंसी थोप दिया है श्रीमती इंदिरा गांधी ने। लगभग 1.5 लाख लोगों को जेल में भर्ती किया गया था। आज जब संविधान हाथ में लेकर राहुल गांधी कहते हैं संविधान बचाना है, तो उनको आईने दिखाने की आवश्यकता है।
Look, I think the Speaker's election went out fairly amicably, and as you saw, all the opposition leaders stood up and pledged cooperation with the Speaker and talked about the need for the House to function through consensus and through all voices being heard. It's rather unfortunate, it seems to me, that the Speaker himself has ended up undermining that spirit with a very divisive statement about the emergency, which frankly was not necessary. It was 49 years ago. It's not even a round number anniversary to even mention it. But if you have to mention it, to go on at such length on a day in which the message was supposed to be one of conciliation, cooperation and consensus was most unfortunate.
See, a lot of water has flown in the Ganga since 1975. Mrs. Indira Gandhi has expressed regret over it, and was defeated in an election in 1977 and won an election in 1980 to come back as Prime Minister. But the BJP must stop driving a car only by looking at the rear view mirror. They must have a forward-looking agenda. And it's quite surprising why the Treasury benches are protesting. What is the Treasury protesting? If they want to protest, they can come to the opposition and give us an opportunity to be in the Treasury. We'll gladly take it.
देखिए, ये तमाम बीजेपी के लोगों ने जो आज किया है वो दिखावा किया है। ऐसा नहीं कि केवल उस समय वही जेल गए हों। समाजवादी नेता और समाजवादी उस समय के जितने जनता पार्टी या तमाम नेताओं ने भी उस समय को देखा, लेकिन हम पीछे मुड़ के कितना देखें, हम पास्ट को कितना देखें।
यही लोकसभा अध्यक्ष है जो एक झटके में 100 से ज़्यादा सांसदों को निलंबित कर रहा था। आपातकाल में ऐसा नहीं हुआ।
All right, let's go across to Aishwarya now for more. So Aishwarya, as the opposition has been targeting the Modi government over, curtailing of democracy, various issues that they've been raising since yesterday, the 50th anniversary of the emergency, the BJP has been targeting, the Congress and the opposition as such. And today in the Lok Sabha also, the Speaker shortly after being re-elected, raising the issue of emergency, condemning it. So this has become the big face-off over emergency.
Well, certainly it came as a surprise to the opposition leaders after Prime Minister Narendra Modi introduced his councils of ministers. It was the Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla who brought the resolution against the emergency and read out those 7 pages from the Speaker's table. Certainly it was a surprise for the opposition leaders, and they created a chaos inside the House, but it was ultimately praised by Prime Minister Narendra Modi, Home Minister Amit Shah and different of the Bharatiya Janata Party leaders that was a said era that we have seen 50 years ago, and that's the reason perhaps on 50th 50th anniversary of the emergency, they have brought a resolution against the emergency. The main reason being that the next generation or the current generation needs to know that what has happened during the Congress government at that point of time. Although it has been several opposition leaders who stated that please stop looking in the rear view mirror. They need to look forward. This has happened in the past. Indira Gandhi apologized for the emergency, and it is now a time to build India in a new way as far as emergency is concerned. Yes, all of us know that that was a black day, a sad era that Indian history has seen. But now it's time to talk on the real issues, and the government is swearing on speaking on the issues of NEET, on the issues of the train tragedy, and they do not want it to answer that. Certainly, it was the NDA leaders who also came outside the Parliament House after that resolution was brought by Om Birla, and several of the leaders protested outside the Makar Dwar and stated that they will never forget and they will never forgive the Congress government what they did to the country. There are several leaders at that point of time who were put in jail, and it was the entire country who saw the jail episode during that time, and it affected a large part of the country because of the emergency that was imposed by Indira Gandhi. But now it remains to be seen, when this resolution had already been brought by the Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla, whether that will be further passed and there would be a discussion on this resolution or not. But the opposition clearly had been targeting the Bharatiya Janata Party leaders, that they still wanted to remember those past days which happened 50 years back, the event that we all are ashamed of. But now it's a time that India should look forward, and if needed, then please go ahead in the Parliament, discuss on it, and we will be going ahead with the resolution if discussion needs to be done. But certainly, when this came out as a surprise, everybody was shocked. Even opposition leaders had no clue that such a resolution was about to be brought by the Lok Sabha Speaker soon after him being appointed as the Lok Sabha Speaker.
All right, Aishwarya, thanks so much for taking us through in all those developments and this fight over the emergency. It brought up in Parliament, later this BJP protest on the steps of the Parliament, the Prime Minister lauding the Speaker as well for raising, talking about the dark days of the emergency. Well, staying with Parliament news, the Trinamool today raised questions over the Speaker's election. The party maintained that though the opposition demanded a division of votes, the pro-tem Speaker flouted rules and went ahead with a voice vote election. I remember earlier today, K. Suresh of the India bloc was the Speaker's candidate, also told NDTV they would demand a division of the vote. So Trinamool objecting to the manner in which the Lok Sabha Speaker election took place. The election was taking place after decades, after the 1950s. The Trinamool Congress saying the pro-tem Speaker didn't follow protocol and did not give them a division of the votes.
See, the rule says if any member of the House asks for division, the pro-tem Speaker in this case has to allow for a division. You can clearly see and hear from the footages of Lok Sabha that several members of the opposition camp has sought a division and asked for a division to put the motion to vote. And the motion was adopted without putting the motion to vote. This is a clear testament to the fact that the ruling dispensation here in the case is the BJP, doesn't have the numbers. This government is running without the numbers. It's illegal, immoral, unethical and unconstitutional.
The Congress very categorically, and Mr. Jairam Ramesh has tweeted and made it clear that very categorically that we didn't push for division. We wanted a voice vote, but basically sending the message across that the government of the day needs to take the opposition seriously, needs to take them along, and it can't be my way or the highway. And as you saw in Parliament with the unilateral speech of the Speaker, there has already been clear, on the first day itself, protests in Parliament about the manner in which you have made that statement. So definitely there is a whole lot and a lot of protests that will continue. You can't take, and the House is after all representative of all the members. It must be done in consultation with the opposition. It cannot be done arbitrarily, and definitely it's going to be tough going for the Speaker, because if he thinks it's going to be like the 17th Lok Sabha, sadly it is not. It is the 18th Lok Sabha, where the India bloc has nearly 240 members of parliament.
So that time for us to slip into a short break. On the other side, the latest regarding Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal, who was arrested today by the CBI.
Hello, Moto.
Motorola, India's best 5G smartphone brand.
लोन मिलेगा या नहीं, ये आपके क्रेडिट स्कोर पे डिपेंड करता है। तो आज ही अपना क्रेडिट स्कोर चेक करें फ्री में पैसाबाजार.com पर। लोन की जरूरत कभी भी किसी को भी पड़ सकती है।
ठीक से एक्टिंग नहीं।
पैसाबाजार.com।
NDTV proudly upholds its legacy of trust and credibility. According to the prestigious Reuters Institute's Digital News Report 2024, NDTV is the topmost news platform in the country. #1 in both online and offline reach in India. Beating all its competition, NDTV stands for trust.
Get ready for the ride of your life. NDTV brings you the NDTV Auto Show with me, Mugdha Mishra. From the fastest supercars to the sleekest new energy vehicles to your trusted daily ride, we cover it all. Every Saturday at 10:30 a.m. and Sunday at 8:30 p.m. only on NDTV 24/7. Your next great escape starts here.
Stay informed and entertained with the new and updated NDTV News app. You can watch all our channels live, listen to podcasts, read breaking and exclusive news from around the world and more. Download the NDTV app today and get access to the best journalism and storytelling on your smartphone or tablet. The NDTV app. News that matters to you.
Some people say the metaverse will only be virtual. One day this lecture hall will be made of code, and driverless cars would be trapped in intersections. But even in this maze of the future, you can't wish away health. It's time to become more resilient.
Welcome back. Let's get to the latest on Arvind Kejriwal case. And the CBI today arrested the Delhi Chief Minister and Aam Aadmi Party national convener in the liquor policy case. He's already, remember, in the custody of the Enforcement Directorate. The probe agency who presented the AAP leader in the Delhi's Rouse Avenue court said the agency could have done the exercise before the Lok Sabha elections, but it didn't. Meanwhile, Kejriwal told the court that it's being shown in the media, citing CBI sources that have put the entire blame on Manish Sisodiya in a statement, and he denied this. He said, I have not given any statement that Sisodiya is guilty, and he said, I've said Sisodiya is innocent, AAP is innocent, and I am innocent. Remember, the former Delhi Deputy Chief Minister has been in custody and has been in jail in the same liquor policy case. We're expecting the court's decision in a short while from now, as the CBI has sought 5 days custody of Arvind Kejriwal.
आज सीबीआई ने पूरी कोशिश करी कि क्योंकि कुछ केस नहीं है, वो चाह रहे थे कि कोई ऐसी खबर प्लांट हो जाए, सेंसेशनलाइज हो जाए इशू। सबसे बड़ा मुद्दा ये है कि सीबीआई के पास ये सारे 50,000 डॉक्यूमेंट्स 2 साल से हैं। उन्होंने कभी भी अरविंद केजरीवाल जी को बुलाया नहीं, तो कब अरविंद केजरीवाल जी विटनेस से अक्यूज्ड हो गए, ये सीबीआई आज कोर्ट में मामला अपना क्लियर नहीं कर पाई। उसी बात पे बहस चलती रही बहुत देर तक।
मनीष सिसोदिया की गिरफ्तारी और के कविता से लगातार पूछताछ चल रही थी, तो शराब नीति घोटाले में ये तो स्पष्ट है कि अरविंद केजरीवाल उसके सूत्रधार हैं और सीधा उनकी इन्वॉल्वमेंट है। तो मैं तो ये कहूँगा कि जांच एजेंसी अपना काम कर रही है और परिणाम सबके सामने आएगा।
In other Delhi-related news, making its intention of getting to the root of the matter clear, the Supreme Court today wrapped not only the Delhi Development Authority but also the Delhi government over illegal tree felling in the Ridge area, which is an extension of the Aravalis. ordering criminal action against DDA officials responsible for the lapse. The court said there has been a fantastic lapse on the part of the Delhi government, under whom the tree authority is supposed to function. So the Supreme Court directing the DDA to disclose the location where the trees were cut and fallen wood. The wood, they said, will be collected by the Delhi government's tree officer, who will then submit a report by the 11th of July.
They want to get to the root of the problem, because as they use the Sherlock Holmes, terminology, there was no dog barking. So that means it was an inside job. How did it happen? As we were talking, they haven't been able to figure out where is the wood gone, and how do they take note of it. And that is why they've issued notice to the principal secretary of the forest, the tree forest office, the Delhi government in this case, to find out and get to know from the contractor where this wood is, and it should be immediately handed over. The other aspect, of course, is the fact that how did the DDA give permission, and what steps should be taken in terms of correction, apart from the tree officer, why he had not been able to issue notice to DDA on this substantial tree cutting that had taken place. So all these aspects will have to be looked at. We'll wait for the Supreme Court to hear this matter after a week. They've taken a very strong position on this. Delhi, as you know, is one of the world's most polluted capitals across the world. And it's really sad that in the national capital region, when people are suffering from a heat wave, the DDA has allowed tree cutting to take place. Was it done by the Lieutenant Governor's orders, or was it done by somebody else? Somebody has to take the flak. Somebody has to take the blame.
Now, the new criminal laws will come into effect in the country on the 1st of July, and the government is batting for these new criminal laws. The new laws, as we said, will come into effect from July. These bills were passed in Parliament in 2023 in under very controversial circumstances. Remember, over 100 MPs were suspended from the House at that time. A lot of concern has also been expressed by the opposition over the new criminal laws coming into effect. The key highlights is the display of arrest information, among others. Let's go across to Aishwarya now for more. And Aishwarya, first take us through, what are the highlights of these new criminal laws, much touted by the government, and there has to be a lot of groundwork laid as they come into force.
Well, certainly these three new criminal laws, Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita, Bharatiya Nagrik Suraksha Sanhita and Bharatiya Sakshya Adhiniyam bills which were passed by the Parliament in the last winter session in 2023 amid a huge uproar, and the opposition opposed these bills. It was later passed, and the President of India gave an assent to these new criminal laws on 25th of December 2023, and the Government of India had finally appointed a date, that is 1st of July 2024, when these three new criminal laws will come into the force. There are several highlights of these three new criminal laws, of course, that pertains to the transparency, giving more efficiency and the help to the citizens of this country. And one of the sections, section 193 of the BNSS, clearly states about the progress updates to the victim. This section says that the victims, victims are entitled to know about their case within 90 days of time period, and this section will uphold that the victims can get more transparency into the case. They will be involved into the case, as 90 days of time period is something that victims are entitled for the regular updates on the progress of their case. Another important highlight is about the limited adjournments. We have been told that one of the sections of the BNSS says that the court can only grant maximum of 2 adjournments into the case. This will help to ensure that there is a fast delivery of justice system in this country. Another very interesting highlight of these 3 criminal laws is section 179 of the BNSS, which clearly states about the exemptions from going to the police stations. This section states that person below 15 years of age or person above 60 years of person with disabilities and also with acute illness are exempted to go to the police stations for their hearings, and the police assistants can come directly to their residence to register the complaint. So, many of the highlights that the Home Ministry had revealed in these three criminal laws, which will ensure that there is trust, there is transparency, and a fast delivery to the justice system that exists in India. And therefore, the reason perhaps these three new bills were passed in the last winter session in the parliament amid uproar, amid the huge opposition that opposed these three criminal bills. The DMK went on to say that the names are in Hindi, that needs to be translated to English, and that's where they also reached out to the top court of this country as well. But that was challenged. Finally, it will be in force and effective from 1st of July 2024, and therefore the reason perhaps the entire criminal system will be revamped from the very next date.
All right, so quite a task ahead. Thanks so much, Aishwarya, for joining us with all those details. News now from Tamil Nadu, where 61 people have lost their lives in the illicit liquor tragedy. We'll get you the details after this short break.
लोन मिलेगा या नहीं, ये आपके क्रेडिट स्कोर पे डिपेंड करता है। तो आज ही पैसाबाजार.com पर जाइए और अपना क्रेडिट स्कोर चेक कीजिए फ्री में, क्योंकि लोन की जरूरत कभी भी किसी को भी पड़ सकती है। बस एक्टिंग करा लो इनसे। पैसाबाजार.com, क्रेडिट स्कोर चेक, आदत अच्छी है।
Get the magic of the best working for you now.
Link your payment cards once. Collect rewards forever.
NDTV proudly upholds its legacy of trust and credibility. According to the prestigious Reuters Institute's Digital News Report 2024, NDTV is the top-most news platform in the country. Number one in both online and offline reach in India, beating all its competition. NDTV stands for trust.
Get ready for the ride of your life. NDTV brings you the NDTV Auto Show with me, Mugdha Mishra. From the fastest supercars to the sleekest new energy vehicles to your trusted daily ride, we cover it all. Every Saturday at 10:30 a.m. and Sunday at 8:30 p.m. only on NDTV 24/7. Your next great escape starts here.
Stay informed and entertained with the new and updated NDTV News app. You can watch all our channels live.
Welcome back. The number of dead in the Tamil Nadu illicit liquor tragedy has gone up to 63. So 63 people have lost their lives in the hooch tragedy in Kalakuruchi district. The AIADMK and PMK have moved the Madras High Court seeking a CBI probe. The state government was also to file an action taken report following a similar tragedy last year that took away 22 lives. And last week, the Madras High Court had made strong observations asking whether the state government had learned any lessons from the tragedy. A few days ago, the Chief Minister M.K. Stalin had listed that actions that have been taken since then. But the opposition is obviously hitting out at the government given the scale of the loss of life. 63 people have died in this illicit.
On behalf of NCW, inquiring about the 61 deaths which have taken place after consuming scrupulous liquor. And it's very saddening to see how families have been completely disoriented. 61 families they've lost their loved ones. So there are some children who have been orphaned because they've lost both the parents, and they're looking at a future which is absolutely dark, it's like a dark pit for them. They don't know which way to go. So finding a solution for them, any amount of compensation money is not going to help them. It's not going to bring their loved ones back. It's not going to bring them their parents back.
Well, joining us now on the phone line is Salem Dharanidharan, spokesperson of the DMK, and Apsara Reddy, spokesperson of the AIADMK. Salem Dharanidharan, first to you, a lot of questions being raised, about how you just 2 years ago you had a liquor tragedy and now again. And in this particular case, now 63 people are dead. Madras High Court also questioning, what were the lessons learned?
See, it's definitely a very, very unfortunate incident, and we apologize to the people for what happened. But we have we are now working on it. We are making sure that no such incidents will ever happen in the history of Tamil Nadu. In fact, in the last 2 years, we took a lot of efforts. In fact, 4 lakh litres of illicit liquor had been destroyed. 20,000 people involved in this trade had been arrested. In spite of that, this has happened, and this shouldn't have happened. We'll make sure that this doesn't happen in the future. But having said that, we have also taken steps to rehabilitate the children who have lost their loved ones. For example, to have a guardian for them and to take care of their entire education and have some money deposited in their account, which will be given when they turn 18, and then to give them preference in jobs and so on and so forth. So those redressal mechanisms has been done. But I think we'll also do more in the coming days.
So more steps will be taken. Apsara Reddy, your comments?
See, I really think it's unfortunate that we have an administration that has absolutely zero empathy or efficiency in issues. Kalakuruchi happened even before. The illicit hooch tragedies happened before in this government. They said the same apology then, and they haven't really rectified their steps. In fact, further to that, they've been absolutely free flow of drugs in the state. You've seen a DMK functionary get caught embroiled in a drug controversy, where members of the chief minister's family were photographed with the person peddling or being part of a drug cartel. We've also had medical negligence, where a young footballer lost her life because of government negligence. And in no situation has the chief minister or the DMK improved their governance or actually shed light on the people's issues.
All right, we seem to have lost the network there, but Salem Dharanidharan, if you want to just counter, something, what was said there, we know the AIADMK has gone to the High Court over this issue as well and has demanded, more action be taken. Illicit liquor is a problem that plagues our country. That is known, but really it's for the state governments to really crack down and ensure these tragedies don't keep happening.
I see, of course, such tragedies should not happen, and no excuses could be given. And which is why the chief minister has had a series of meetings with the collectors and the higher officials, and also have warned them that such lacuna will not be acceptable in the administration. But having said that, the opposition always makes it appear that not everything is bad in Tamil Nadu. No, even when it comes to drugs, Tamil Nadu has confiscated the highest number of drugs, and we have the least number of drug usage as per the NCRB data. And also, if don't consider me to be doing a water bottle, but if you look, even from the last 10 years, if you look, there have been each year there's been more than 1,000 to 1,500 illicit alcohol-related deaths across India. Even every year in Bihar, Madhya Pradesh, we've been having more than 300 to 400 deaths in each of the states. It's a societal problem. It's a social issue which we'll have to find a common solution. We shouldn't now go and pinpoint fingers at each other.
And we've seen once again there have been talks about prohibition or, the controlling of alcohol. This is something that, everyone must be taken into, account and talked to, and experts must be brought in here. But Apsara Reddy back with us. Apsara Reddy, AIADMK has demanded a CBI probe into this liquor tragedy.
Absolutely. In fact, look at the kind of anti-democratic stand the DMK has taken today in the Assembly. In fact, our leaders, our MLAs, wanted to discuss the Kalakuruchi hooch tragedy. I think there should be all-party consensus on how such a tragedy can be dealt with, but the DMK absolutely didn't allow it and suspended all our members, all our MLAs for the entire session. So DMK is running scared because of its inefficiency, because of the lackluster governance in the state. I think the Chief Minister, I'm sorry to say, despite the kind of financial problems the state is in because of their bad administration, their own former Finance Minister, BT PTR has actually blamed the Chief Minister's first family for corruption. Instead of dealing with all of that, they're still taking trips to Dubai, Spain, the kind of expenditure on racetrack events. They're not really paying attention on public welfare and tragedies like the Kallakurchi.
Right, Salem Dharanidharan, final word to you. What can you promise us? What steps are you going to take to ensure something like this never happens again? It's been astounding to see how the number of dead has just been climbing from 20 to 30, went to 50, and now it's 63 people who have died.
I would like to also rebut what the previous spokesperson said. First and foremost, the financial mess in Tamil Nadu is only because of the ADMK regime. When DMK demitted office in 2011, our debt to GDP ratio was 17% of the best in India, and when ADMK demitted, it was 28%, unsustainable. And under our rule, it has been reduced to 1.5%. And with regards to the comment made by my dear friend PTR Tyagarajan, I think he himself has come and said that it was not his comments, they were doctored. So he has not made those comments. And finally, when it comes to the ADMK MLAs being sent out, this again is a lie. Our Chief Minister told the Speaker that the ADMK MLAs as well as the Leader of Opposition should be allowed to discuss. They were the ones who did not want to wait until the Mani Korike was over, and they've been staging walkout. Our leader has been very, very firm and wants the ADMK MLAs to raise their concerns in the Assembly, unlike the BJP. But then the first and the final point which you asked, Gargi, is that we have already set up an one-member judicial committee, and we're also taking other steps. Right? We also will take steps to make sure that methanol is not freely available and other such steps. But I'll assure you that this will never happen, and we are going to take such severe steps that this is never going to happen.
What happened to the assurance in the previous tragedy?
Whoever
gave an assurance. What happened to that?
All right, well, we'll leave it there. 63 people are dead. Illicit liquor is a huge problem in the country. Every few years, we see these, massive tragedies taking place, and it's really for the authorities, for the government, everyone to come together and, just stop this menace of illicit liquor and hooch. The case is being argued currently in the Madras High Court, and Madras High Court also questioning what lessons have been learnt. And let's shift focus now to Pune, where the Pune Municipal Corporation continued its crackdown on unauthorized structures at pubs and bars in the city for a second day today in the wake of alleged consumption of drugs at a local bar. Now, this is as part of the action. Officials of the building department demolished illegal structures of some prominent bars, including Esco Bar and FML Resto Bar. During the day, the Pune police also held 2 men who were seen with a drug-like substance in a video captured at the bar that went viral. So this action being taken following that video also going viral. Let's go across to Radhika now for more. And Radhika, tell us more about this crackdown on bars and, this whole drug controversy. This is something the opposition MV is also going to be raising in the assembly.
That's right, Gargi. State government and municipal authorities in action mode post that video went viral, which showed several people consuming narcotic substance inside a pub in Pune. Post which, of course, authorities have been taking action against several of these pubs which had been flouting building norms, and several of these pubs which had been selling narcotic substance to youth in Pune. This action comes after Chief Minister Eknath Shinde yesterday, in fact, directed authorities, including Pune police, to take action against many of these buildings that had been flouting norms over the last several years. So therefore, many of these multiple action being taken and FIRs being registered as well, and demolition also happening, bulldozer action also being done in the city of Pune against many of these construction that had been flouting many norms in terms of building norms, and also some of them who had been flouting timing norms as well. Several of these pubs and bars and establishments supposed to shut by 1 a.m. Is open throughout the morning, throughout wee hours, the complaints that have been received by the state government. So yes, action being taken, and Eknath Shinde government taking this very seriously. Of course, tomorrow is the monsoon session, whereby we expect the opposition to corner government over law and order situation and the rampant drug so-called drug culture in Pune as well. The government will be targeted, is what several of the leaders from the opposition have said when the monsoon session starts tomorrow.
All right, thanks so much, Radhika, for joining us with all those details. Now, news from Bengaluru, and another setback to sex crimes accused Prahlad Ranas. Court in Bengaluru turned down his bail petition, hearing the petition today in connection with a complaint registered at the Holana Supur police station against the former MP and his father, H.D. Ranas. The Special Court for Public Representatives was told by the prosecutor that charges of rape under Indian Penal Code Section 376 have also been added to the case. The prosecutor argued that considering the gravity of the crime, bail should not be granted. The 33-year-old, who is the grandson of former Prime Minister H.D. Devegowda, was suspended by his party, the Janata Dal Secular. He is in custody of the Special Investigation Team that was formed to investigate all his alleged sex crimes. Earlier, we spoke to Pratibha for more.
There are totally 3 FIRs that have been registered against Prahlad Ranas, and all of them have grave charges like rape. We are talking about the first one here with respect to what started off as sexual harassment, post which rape charges were added. Considering the gravity of this charge, that is precisely why the bail has been rejected according to the court. The Karnataka High Court today, in a set of setbacks for Prahlad Ranas, did reject the bail plea with respect to the first case. What is also additional trouble for Prahlad Ranas is that there is a 4th case that has been registered in the last 2 days, where we are talking of sexual harassment alone there. So in all, 4 FIRs against Prahlad Ranas, and with respect to the first case, the bail has been rejected. We'll have to wait to see how the legal process would take place with respect to the other 3 FIRs that have been registered against Prahlad Ranas. In the meantime, the SIT officials have taken custody of Prahlad Ranas with respect to the 4th FIR. Custodial interrogation is on, and all eyes are on the kind of details that would emerge from that and how this case would reach its logical end. Back to you.
Now, government versus opposition face-off over the emergency. Today, shortly after he was re-elected as the Lok Sabha Speaker, Om Birla condemned the emergency in a statement that took the opposition by surprise. Now, yesterday was the 50th anniversary of the emergency called by former Prime Minister Indira Gandhi. The Speaker, after he was elected, raised the issue of the emergency, talked about condemning it, and also called for a 2-minute silence. This led to protests by the opposition that have accused the government of trying to divert from more pressing issues. BJP MPs later protested on the steps of Parliament, but the Prime Minister posted on social media lauding the Speaker's condemnation, said the happenings during the emergency exemplified what a dictatorship looks like. Now, the opposition has been attacking the government over its attempts to curtail democracy, alleged attempts to curtail democracy. So the BJP, they're hitting back and raising the issue of emergency. Now, the Congress said the Speaker's divisive statement in the House was unfortunate, and the BJP must stop driving as it looks into the rear view. Other opposition members also, like Akhilesh Yadav, also pointed out that this happened decades ago. Why raise it again and again?
इमरजेंसी के दौरान भारत के नागरिकों के अधिकार नष्ट कर दिए गए, नागरिकों से उनकी आज़ादी छीन ली गई। ये वह दौर था जब विपक्षी नेताओं को जेल में बंद कर दिया गया, पूरे देश को जेल खाना बना दिया गया। तब की तानाशाही सरकार ने मीडिया पर अनेक पाबंदियां लगा दी गई थी, न्यायपालिका की स्वतंत्रता पर अंकुश लगा दिया गया था। इमरजेंसी का वह समय हमारे देश के इतिहास में अन्याय काल का एक काला खंड था।
Today is the 26th June. On this day, on 26 June 1975, early morning 6 a.m., then Prime Minister Srimati Indira Gandhi called emergency cabinet meeting and ratified post facto the single decision. Prime Minister took the decision alone. Cabinet rectified on the morning of 26 June 1975. That is why today we passed the resolution in the House that such trumpulation of such demolition of the Constitution will not be allowed again. So we have taken a resolution.
पूरे देश में हिंदुस्तान के नागरिक विरोध प्रदर्शन कर रहे हैं और हिंदुस्तान के नागरिक के मानस पटल में आज का दिन एक महत्वपूर्ण दिन है। आज 26 जून 2024 है। आज से 49 इयर्स पहले आज ही के दिन 26 जून 1975 को जब देश जगी थी सुबह, तब देश को मालूम पड़ा था कि देश के ऊपर आपातकाल लगा दिया गया है, इमरजेंसी थोप दिया है श्रीमती इंदिरा गांधी ने। लगभग 1.5 लाख लोगों को जेल में भर्ती किया गया था। आज जब संविधान हाथ में लेकर राहुल गांधी कहते हैं संविधान बचाना है, तो उनको आईने दिखाने की आवश्यकता है।
Look, I think the Speaker's election went out fairly amicably, and as you saw, all the opposition leaders stood up and pledged cooperation with the Speaker and talked about the need for the House to function through consensus and through all voices being heard. It's rather unfortunate, it seems to me, that the Speaker himself has ended up undermining that spirit with a very divisive statement about the emergency, which frankly was not necessary. It was 49 years ago. It's not even a round number anniversary to even mention it. But if you have to mention it, to go on at such length on a day in which the message was supposed to be one of conciliation, cooperation and consensus was most unfortunate.
See, a lot of water has flown in the Ganga since 1975. Mrs. Indira Gandhi has expressed regret over it, and was defeated in an election in 1977 and won the election in 1980 to come back as Prime Minister. But the BJP must stop driving a car only by looking at the rear view mirror. They must have a forward-looking agenda. And it's quite surprising why the Treasury benches are protesting. What is the Treasury protesting? If they want to protest, they can come to the opposition and give us an opportunity to be in the Treasury. We'll gladly take it.
देखिए, ये तमाम बीजेपी के लोगों ने जो आज किया है, वो दिखावा किया है। ऐसा नहीं कि केवल उस समय वही जेल गए हों। समाजवादी नेता और समाजवादी उस समय के जितने जनता पार्टी या तमाम नेताओं ने भी उस समय को देखा, लेकिन हम पीछे मुड़ के कितना देखें, हम पास्ट को कितना देखें।
बिरला जी तो विरोध क्यों है? यही लोकसभा अध्यक्ष है जो एक झटके में 100 से ज्यादा सांसदों को निलंबित कर रहा था। आपातकाल में ऐसा नहीं हुआ।
Well, certainly it came as a surprise to the opposition leaders after Prime Minister Narendra Modi introduced his councils of minister. It was the Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla who brought the resolution against the emergency and read out those 7 pages from the Speaker's table. Certainly it was a surprise for the opposition leaders, and they created a chaos inside the house, but it was ultimately praised by Prime Minister Narendra Modi, Home Minister Amit Shah and different of the Bharatiya Janata Party leaders that was a said era that we have seen 50 years ago, and that's the reason perhaps on 50th anniversary of the emergency they have brought a resolution against the emergency. The main reason being that the next generation or the current generation needs to know that what has happened during the Congress government at that point of time. Although it has been several opposition leaders who stated that please stop looking in the rear view mirror. They need to look forward. This has happened in the past. Indira Gandhi apologized for the emergency, and it is now a time to build India in a new way as far as emergency is concerned. Yes, all of us know that that was a black day, a sad era that Indian history has seen. But now it's time to talk on the real issues, and the government is fearing on speaking on the issues of NEET, on the issues of the train tragedy, and they do not want it to answer that. Certainly it was the NDA leaders who also came outside the Parliament House after that resolution was brought by Om Birla, and several of the leaders protested outside the Makar Dwar and stated that they will never forget and they will never forgive the Congress government what they did to the country. There several leaders at that point of time were put in jail, and it was the entire country who saw the jail episode during that time, and it affected a large part of the country because of the emergency that was imposed by Indira Gandhi. But now it remains to be seen, when this resolution had already been brought by the Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla, whether that will be further passed and there would be a discussion on this resolution or not, but the opposition clearly had been targeting the Bharatiya Janata Party leaders that they still wanted to remember those past days which happened 50 years back, the event that we all are ashamed of, but now it's a time that India should look forward, and if needed then please go ahead in the parliament, discuss on it, and we will be going ahead with the resolution if discussion needs to be done. But certainly when this came out as a surprise, everybody was shocked. Even opposition leaders had no clue that such a resolution was about to be brought by the Lok Sabha Speaker soon after him being appointed as the Lok Sabha Speaker.
And staying with news, what took place in the Lok Sabha, the Trinamool Congress today raised questions over the Speaker's election which took place. Remember, there was the Speaker's election after decades in the Lok Sabha. The party maintains that though the opposition demanded a division of votes, that the pro-tem Speaker flouted the rules and went ahead with a voice vote election. So this is something the Trinamool has objected to, though the Congress has said they didn't want to press this issue.
See, the rule says if any member of the House asks for division, the pro-tem speaker in this case has to allow for a division. You can clearly see and hear from the footages of Lok Sabha that several members of the opposition camp has sought a division and asked for a division to put the motion to vote. And the motion was adopted without putting the motion to vote. This is a clear testament to the fact that the ruling dispensation here in the case is the BJP doesn't have the numbers. This government is running without the numbers. It's illegal, immoral, unethical and unconstitutional.
Well, with that, time for us to slip into a short break. More news coming up on the other side. Stay with us.
Hello, Moto.
Motorola, India's best 5G smartphone brand.
Bail plea of sex crimes accused Prahlad Ranas rejected by the special court. Political showdown over the emergency. The Speaker condemns emergency in Parliament. The Congress says Speaker's divisive statement unfortunate. The Supreme Court's tough stance on Delhi tree felling, orders a criminal proceedings against DDA officials. Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal denied giving a statement blaming Manish Sisodia for the excise policy case after he was arrested by the CBI.
लोन मिलेगा या नहीं, ये आपके क्रेडिट स्कोर पर डिपेंड करता है। आज ही जाइए पैसाबाजार.com पर और अपना क्रेडिट स्कोर चेक कीजिए फ्री में, क्योंकि लोन की जरूरत किसी को भी कभी भी पड़ सकती है। चल एक्टिंग थोड़ा भेल बनो। ये आया बात पैसाबाजार.com।
Some people say the metaverse will only be virtual. One day this lecture hall will be made of code, and driverless cars would be trapped in intersections. But even in this maze of the future, you can't wish away health. It's time to become more resilient. "10 years of Banega Swasth India, we have grown and achieved so many milestones."
Welcome back. The government has said that the new criminal laws will come into effect from the 1st of July, and the government identifies people-friendly measures in these laws. The bills were passed, remember, by the last parliament in 2023. There was controversy as over 100 MPs were suspended at that time. The opposition has also raised questions over this. There are many, differences in the new criminal laws from the IPC. Some highlights are display of arrest information, and earlier we spoke to Aishwarya for more details.
These three new criminal laws, Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita, Bharatiya Nagrik Suraksha Sanhita and Bharatiya Sakshya Adhiniyam bills which were passed by the Parliament in the last winter session in 2023 amid a huge uproar, and the opposition opposed these bills. It was later passed, and the President of India gave an assent to these new criminal laws on 25th of December 2023, and the Government of India had finally appointed a date, that is 1st of July 2024, when these three new criminal laws will come into the force. There are several highlights of these three new criminal laws, of course, that pertains to the transparency, giving more efficiency and the help to the citizens of this country. And one of the sections, section 193 of the BNSS, clearly states about the progress updates to the victim. This section says that the victims, victims are entitled to know about their case within 90 days of time period, and this section will uphold that the victims can get more transparency into the case. They will be involved into the case, as 90 days of time period is something that victims are entitled for the regular updates on the progress of their case. Another important highlight is about the limited adjournments. We have been told that one of the sections of the BNSS says that the court can only grant maximum of 2 adjournments into the case. This will help to ensure that there is a fast delivery of justice system in this country. Another very interesting highlight of these 3 criminal laws is section 179 of the BNSS, which clearly states about the exemptions from going to the police stations. This section states that person below 15 years of age, or person above 60 years of age, or person with disabilities and also with acute illness are exempted to go to the police stations for their hearings, and the police assistants can come directly to their residence to register the company. So, many of the highlights that the Home Ministry had revealed in these 3 criminal laws, which will ensure that there is trust, there is transparency, and a fast delivery to the justice system that exists in India. And therefore, the reason perhaps these 3 new bills were passed in the last winter session in the Parliament amid uproar, amid the huge opposition that opposed these 3 criminal bills. The DMK went on to say that the names are in Hindi, that needs to be translated to English, and that's where they also reached out to the top court of this country as well. But that was challenged. Finally, it will be in force and effective from 1st of July 2024, and therefore the reason perhaps the entire criminal system will be revamped from the very next date.
All right, with that, time for us to slip into a short break. We'll be back with all the top news stories. Don't go anywhere.
लोन मिलेगा या नहीं, ये आपके क्रेडिट स्कोर पे डिपेंड करता है। तो आज ही अपना क्रेडिट स्कोर चेक करें फ्री में पैसाबाजार.com पर। लोन की जरूरत कभी भी किसी को भी पड़ सकती है।
ठीक से एक्टिंग नहीं।
पैसाबाजार.com।
Stay informed and entertained with the new and updated NDTV News app. You can watch all our channels live, listen to podcasts, read breaking and exclusive news from around the world and more. Download the NDTV app today and get access to the best journalism and storytelling on your smartphone or tablet. The NDTV app. News that matters to you. NDTV proudly upholds its legacy of trust and credibility. According to the prestigious Reuters Institute's Digital News Report 2024, NDTV is the top-most news platform in the country. Number 1 in both online and offline reach in India. Beating all its competition, NDTV stands for trust.
Get ready for the ride of your life. NDTV brings you the NDTV Auto Show with me, Mugdha Mishra. From the fastest supercars to the sleekest new energy vehicles to your trusted daily ride, we cover it all. Every Saturday at 10:30 a.m. and Sunday at 8:30 p.m. only on NDTV 24/7. Your next great escape starts here.
Stay informed and entertained with the new and updated NDTV News app. You can watch all our channels live, listen to podcasts, read breaking and exclusive news from around the world and more. Download the NDTV app today and get access to the best journalism and storytelling on your smartphone or tablet.
This is NDTV, and you're watching NDTV 24/7.
Hello, Moto.
The bail plea of sex crimes accused Prahlad Ranas is rejected by a special court. Rape charge has been added in the case against Ranas. He will stay in the custody of the SIT. A political showdown over the emergency. The Speaker, after being re-elected, condemns the emergency in Parliament, calls for 2 minutes silence, leading to protests by the opposition. The Prime Minister lauds the Speaker, says glad he highlighted the excesses. The Congress says Speaker's divisive statement unfortunate. The Supreme Court's tough stance on tree felling in Delhi. The Supreme Court orders criminal proceedings against DDA officials. A contempt case linked to over 1,100 trees being cut in the Ridge area. Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal is arrested by the CBI while in ED custody. Makes a statement in the local court, says denied giving a statement blaming his colleague Manish Sisodia for the alleged excise policy case. The court's decision on 5 days custody to the CBI in a short while from now. And in Jammu and Kashmir, an encounter breaks out in Doda. One terrorist has been killed as the hunt is on for 2 more terrorists. The police say the terrorists are linked to the recent attacks seen in the area. Hello and welcome. You're watching NDTV. I'm Gargi Rawat. Our top story now. And the CBI today arrested Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal in the liquor policy case. This as he's already in the custody of the Enforcement Directorate. Now, the probe agency who presented the AAP leader in Delhi's Rouse Avenue court said the agency could have done the exercise before the Lok Sabha elections, but it didn't, as the court did question what led to the need for them to arrest Arvind Kejriwal now. Now, the CBI has sought 5-day custody of Mr. Kejriwal. The decision on that request is expected shortly. The court said it would give that decision by this evening. An interesting development also in the court was that Arvind Kejriwal addressed the court and said it's being shown in the media, citing CBI sources, that I put the entire blame on Manish Sisodia in a statement, and he said that I haven't done any such thing, that he is innocent and AAP is innocent and that I am innocent as well. Well, let's just listen in to what was said.
मनीष सिसोदिया की गिरफ्तारी और के कविता से लगातार पूछताछ चल रही थी, तो शराब नीति घोटाले में ये तो स्पष्ट है कि अरविंद केजरीवाल उसके सूत्रधार हैं और सीधा उनकी इन्वॉल्वमेंट है। तो मैं तो ये कहूँगा कि जांच एजेंसी अपना काम कर रही है और परिणाम सबके सामने आएगा।
All right, so big setback to Arvind Kejriwal, who was also going to be approaching the Supreme Court today and hoping for bail. Remember, this is after the High Court put his bail on hold yesterday, but the situation changing there, and now arrested by the CBI. For more on this, we're now joined by R.P. Singh, spokesperson of the BJP, and Anmol Pawar, spokesperson of the Aam Aadmi Party. So Anmol Pawar, first to you, a real change in what was expected. At this morning, Arvind Kejriwal was hoping to approach the Supreme Court and a decision on his bail. He's been in the custody of the Enforcement Directorate, but now instead he's also been arrested by the CBI. In a short while, we'll find out whether the CBI will get 5 days custody.
Gargi ji, the arrest of Arvind Kejriwal ji without any incriminating evidence against him is a classic case of flagrant misuse and abuse of power by the central government agencies. The CBI is no more Central Bureau of Investigation. It stands for circulating baseless informations. And this is an undeclared emergency where central government is trying every means to put him behind bars. Today, CBI was caught lying red-handed. The court acknowledged that CBI's statements and evidence do not match. During the court proceedings, the CBI lawyer stated that Arvind Kejriwal ji had distanced himself from the case and blamed Mr. Manish Sisodia. Then and there, Mr. Kejriwal ji stood up and stated that CBI was lying and asserted that he never made such a statement. He emphasized and very clearly said that he is innocent, Manish Sisodia ji is innocent, and Aam Aadmi Party is innocent. He challenged the CBI to provide any proof or any statement which he has given in the past. But the record also stated that no such statement was made. These statements are just made to dominate the media headlines and to create a false narrative against Aam Aadmi Party and to show discord between the leaders, because CBI or ED has failed to give any direct evidence, any recovery of money, any money trail. They are not even named in the FIR. So this whole case is false and fabricated and is an attempt to crush Aam Aadmi Party.
All right, RP Singh, your response to that, and it is very curious that this case has been ongoing for so many years. You've had various senior leaders of the AAP arrested, and now, as it seemed that Arvind Kejriwal was nearing getting bail, it was a possibility given that they were going to the Supreme Court. He'd received bail from the lower court. Yesterday it was stayed by the High Court. And as he's looking at that, going to the Supreme Court, you suddenly have the CBI, coming in and placing him under arrest as well.
Well, Gandhi, first, it's not many years, it's just 2 years. And in blue-collar crime, when it happens, it takes a lot of time to get into the...
Well, 2 years is a long time as well.
So how many years you want?
Sir, go ahead. 1 moment. Let him answer. Yes, RP Singh, go ahead.
Ma'am, thank you so much for calling me for the debate. Because if you have to interrupt me like this, then I can answer.
No, I'm just saying, go ahead. Yes, go ahead.
So, the blue-collar crime takes time to detect. Because people who commit blue-collar crimes are people who are smart and who know how to play with the system. They know how to play with the laws and how to use the law for their benefit and still commit that crime. That's the advantage of blue-collar crime. Now, secondly, CBI wanted to arrest him in March. They didn't arrest him in March because otherwise it had been they would have been accused of of interfering into election process. They didn't do that. They gave him time. Now, since they have all the documented evidence, and if Mr. Pawar has so much of details and so much of confidence about that CBI has no evidence and details, then he should sack Mr. Singhvi or the other guy who's there, and he should represent Mr. Kejriwal in the court and say that, oh, I'm here, I'm telling you there's no evidence. Let court assess it. It's not me or Mr. Pawar or you assess that whether there are evidence against Mr. Kejriwal or not. Had there been no evidence, and High Court would not have questioned the order of the lower court. High Court was convinced on this. Yes, there are trails, there are evidence on record. That's why they quashed the bail. And now they have gone to the Supreme Court. Let Supreme Court also take a call. But the only pretext they always have made that CBI has not held any inquiry. CBI has not named Mr. Kejriwal. Now CBI is holding inquiry, want to hold inquiry. They are raising question on that. I mean, CBI is only asking for custody so that they can put all the zigzags together and then bring the complete evidence in front of the court.
That's right. So, Anmol, Pawar, your response to that, the CBI says they need his custody to confront him with all the evidence, perhaps other witnesses also, Vijay Nair's name is being taken. So, the CBI is saying that Mr. Kejriwal, they need to confront him, that money was shifted to Goa. So, various allegations, and that's why they moved in to arrest him and now, want to further strengthen their case.
Ji, the reality is that for the first time he was called for interrogation by the CBI in 2023. The same case which they stated during Manish Sisodia ji's bail was reiterated today. They have nothing incriminating against Mr. Kejriwal since last 2 years. They have failed to provide any direct evidence linking him to the proceeds of money They have failed to prove that the money was used in Goa election. He was not even named in the ECIR or FIR of the CBI. More than 4 charge sheets have been filed since last 2 years, but they have found nothing against him. He has not been mentioned in any of the charge sheets by the CBI. Now, the question which arises is, why were they waiting for such a long time? It's been 2 years. If they had some material against Mr. Kejriwal, then why didn't they seek his custody earlier? Because they were waiting for the Supreme Court to give the judgment, and there's a very strong possibility that Mr. Kejriwal will be enlarged on bail, because the way High Court has heard the matter, without even formal issuance of the order by the Sessions Court, and a stay was granted, which has been challenged by the legal team of Mr. Kejriwal before the Honorable Supreme Court. That is the reason why yesterday, for the first time after 2 years, the CBI entered, because they were there's a strong possibility of him getting bail from the Honorable Supreme Court.
All right, Mr. R.P. Singh, in response to that, and yes, the Supreme Court
and the statement made by Mr. R.P. Singh, it clearly establishes that the agencies are incompetent and they are working at the behest of Bharatiya Janata Party.
Right. So, R.P. Singh, your response to that, and yes, the Supreme Court did describe as unusual the stay that the High Court had put on Mr. Kejriwal's bail. And so far, you know, this, as you said, the case has been going on for 2 years. A lot of allegations have been made. A lot of, witnesses have, turned, etc. But in terms of hard evidence so far, even the courts have been asking, where is that hard evidence?
Gargi, you just mentioned about Supreme Court's observation about High Court's decision or High Court hearing the appeal. But you didn't mention about the High Court's observation about how the lower court neglected and didn't took cognizance of all the evidence which ED presented. So, I mean, don't be partial. I mean, be very fair to both the courts. I mean, you are being fair to
No, they did, of course, but I'm saying it's something Anmol Pawar just raised. So I said, yes, they did describe it as unusual, which was, so that's as far as the Supreme Court can observe.
You are a learned.
Mr. Singh, then you must start with the observations made by the trial court as well. You must first tell the whole country that the trial court said that ED is acting with bias, that there is no recovery of money, that there is no money trail, that no trace of proceeds of money has been established, that there is no...
Thank you, Gargi. Thank you for calling me to the debate. You call hecklers during the debate.
That there is no
respond to that. I mean, we're not... The courts have spoken.
You support the hecklers, you call anarchists and you support anarchism in your debate.
How am I supporting anarchism? Please go ahead. Anmol Pawar, just let Mr. R.P. Singh respond. Please go ahead. Yes. Go ahead and respond to the remarks that were made.
Mr. Singh, this is the only argument you
Anmol Pawar, let him respond to the remarks that you have made.
You belong to a hackers party, you belong to an anarchist party who has looted Delhi, Don't show your teeth. Don't show your teeth. Don't show your teeth to Mr.
Don't get agitated, sir.
If you can get him out of the game. If you can get him out of the game,
your blood pressure rises.
All right, I think we're going to have to leave it there. We're waiting. Well, thank you so much. Mr. R.P. Singh, would you like to just respond to what Anmol Pawar said? Just if you want to just quickly respond, then I'll close this. Go ahead, respond.
He's very agitated.
R.P. Singh ji, please respond.
Gargi, if you have to be fair in your debate, it's good. Otherwise, I'm
No, absolutely. Absolutely. I put down Anmol's mic for the moment just so you can make your point, and I have to wrap this. Go ahead.
Very simple, very simple. If Anmol Pawar has some paper, some record to show that he is not involved, then he should go to the court. So, High Court has categorically stated, yes, Mr. Kejriwal is involved. High Court has also observed that ED was not verified. They said the ED was not verified when they are pursuing the case. And let me tell you, there are documents which are on record which ED has presented. There are digital records which ED has presented. There are transactions which ED has presented. There are the witnesses who have put evidence on record under Section 164 which ED has presented. Put together, there's a strong
All right,
case.
so all this is in the court, and yes, we're going to, now in a short while from now, we'll have the decision of the Rouse Avenue Court on whether Arvind Kejriwal's custody will be given to the CBI. We'll leave it there. Thank you so much both for joining us on the program. Well, moving on to the big political fight today, a government face-off over emergency. Now, today, shortly after he was re-elected as the Lok Sabha Speaker, Om Birla condemned the emergency. The 50 years anniversary was yesterday, and just after being elected and addressing the Parliament, he called for a 2-minute silence where he spoke about the dark days of the emergency, taking the opposition by surprise and leading to protests. Remember, the opposition had been targeting the government over and making allegations about how democracy was being curtailed in the country, and now you have the BJP, turning the tables in a sense and raising how democracy was curtailed during the emergency. Now, the opposition also have accused the government of trying to divert from more pressing issues. BJP MPs, after the Lok Sabha was adjourned, actually stood on the steps of Parliament and protested over emergency as well. And later, the Prime Minister posted on social media lauding the Speaker's condemnation of the emergency. Now, the opposition hit out at the government, and Congress described the Speaker's statement as divisive and unfortunate, and said the BJP must stop driving while looking in the rear view. Other parties as well, the Samajwadi Party also said that why is the BJP raking up things that are decades old? Instead, they should be more forward-looking.
इमरजेंसी के दौरान भारत के नागरिकों के अधिकार नष्ट कर दिए गए, नागरिकों से उनकी आज़ादी छीन ली गई। ये वह दौर था जब विपक्षी नेताओं को जेल में बंद कर दिया गया, पूरे देश को जेल खाना बना दिया गया। तब की तानाशाही सरकार ने मीडिया पर अनेक पाबंदियां लगा दी गई थी, न्यायपालिका की स्वतंत्रता पर अंकुश लगा दिया गया था। इमरजेंसी का वह समय हमारे देश के इतिहास में अन्याय काल का एक काला खंड था।
Today is the 26th June. On this day, on 26th June 1975, early morning 6 a.m., then Prime Minister Srimati Indira Gandhi called emergency cabinet meeting and ratified post facto the single decision. Prime Minister took the decision alone. Cabinet rectified on the morning of 26 June 1975. That is why today we passed the resolution in the House that such trumpulation of such demolition of the Constitution will not be allowed again. So we have taken a resolution.
पूरे देश में हिंदुस्तान के नागरिक विरोध प्रदर्शन कर रहे हैं और हिंदुस्तान के नागरिक के मानस पटल में आज का दिन एक महत्वपूर्ण दिन है। आज 26 जून 2024 है। आज से 49 इयर्स पहले आज ही के दिन 26 जून 1975 को जब देश जगी थी सुबह, तब देश को मालूम पड़ा था कि देश के ऊपर आपातकाल लगा दिया गया है, इमरजेंसी थोप दिया है श्रीमती इंदिरा गांधी ने। लगभग 1.5 लाख लोगों को जेल में भर्ती किया गया था। आज जब संविधान हाथ में लेकर राहुल गांधी कहते हैं संविधान बचाना है, तो उनको आईने दिखाने की आवश्यकता है।
Look, I think the Speaker's election went out fairly amicably, and as you saw, all the opposition leaders stood up and pledged cooperation with the Speaker and talked about the need for the House to function through consensus and through all voices being heard. It's rather unfortunate, it seems to me, that the Speaker himself has ended up undermining that spirit with a very divisive statement about the emergency, which frankly was not necessary. It was 49 years ago. It's not even a round number anniversary to even mention it. But if you have to mention it, to go on at such length on a day in which the message was supposed to be one of conciliation, cooperation and consensus was most unfortunate.
देखिए, ये तमाम बीजेपी के लोगों ने जो आज किया है वो दिखावा किया है। ऐसा नहीं कि केवल उस समय वही जेल गए हों। समाजवादी नेता और समाजवादी उस समय के जितने जनता पार्टी या तमाम नेताओं ने भी उस समय को देखा, लेकिन हम पीछे मुड़ के कितना देखें, हम पास्ट को कितना देखें।
बिरला जी तो विरोध क्यों है? यही लोकसभा अध्यक्ष है जो एक झटके में 100 से ज़्यादा सांसदों को निलंबित कर रहा था। आपातकाल में ऐसा नहीं हुआ।
And the Trinamool also complained and raised the issue over the Speaker's election and how the division of votes did not take place. Trinamool Congress claiming that though the opposition demanded a division of votes, the pro tem Speaker flouted rules and went ahead with a voice vote election, though the Congress has said that they didn't want to press the issue. Let's listen in.
See, the rule says if any member of the House asks for division, the pro tem Speaker in this case has to allow for a division. You can clearly see and hear from the footages of Lok Sabha that several members of the opposition camp has sought a division and asked for a division to put the motion to vote. And the motion was adopted without putting the motion to vote. This is a clear testament to the fact that the ruling dispensation here in the case is the BJP. It doesn't have the numbers. This government is running without the numbers. It's illegal, immoral, unethical and unconstitutional.
Well, with that, time for us to slip into a short break. More news coming up on the other side. Stay with us.
Hello, Moto.
Motorola, India's best 5G smartphone brand.
Brought to you by.
Get the magic of the best working for you now.
Link your payment cards once, collect rewards forever.
लोन मिलेगा या नहीं ये आपके क्रेडिट स्कोर पे डिपेंड करता है। तो आज ही पैसाबाजार.com पर जाइए और अपना क्रेडिट स्कोर चेक कीजिए फ्री में, क्योंकि लोन की जरूरत कभी भी किसी को भी पड़ सकती है।
बस एक्टिंग करा लो इनसे।
पैसाबाजार.com, क्रेडिट स्कोर चेक, आदत अच्छी है।
Some people say the metaverse will only be virtual. One day this lecture hall will be made of code, and driverless cars would be trapped in intersections. But even in this maze of the future, you can't wish away health. It's time to become more resilient. "10 years of Banega Swasth India, we have grown and achieved so many milestones. And now I have a plan to beat the urgency, to stop breathing with difficulty, to relieve getting choked with inactivity. Energize our government, our environment, our society, and ourselves. Everyone, everywhere, every day. Banega Swasth India. One world hygiene.
Stay informed and entertained with the new and updated NDTV News app. You can watch all our channels live, listen to podcasts, read breaking and exclusive news from around the world and more. Download the NDTV app today and get access to the best journalism and storytelling on your smartphone or tablet. The NDTV app. News that matters to you. NDTV proudly upholds its legacy of trust and
Welcome back. A crackdown on alcohol and drugs. The Pune Municipal Corporation continued its crackdown on unauthorized structures at pubs and bars in the city for a second day today in the wake of alleged consumption of drugs at a local bar. As part of the action, the officials of the PMC's building department demolished illegal structures of some prominent bars, including Escobar and FML Resto Bar during the day today. Now, this action came after the police also held two men who were seen in a video consuming drugs or was seen with drug-like substances, and this video had gone viral and led to an outcry which has resulted in this action being taken against these bars and pubs and a crackdown on illegal drugs. This is after the MVA has also been targeting the government over how drugs are freely available in Maharashtra, and it's an issue they plan to corner the government over tomorrow when the monsoon session of the Assembly begins. In fact, it's not just in Pune, and even in Telangana. The Telangana government is running a special drive with schools and saving students from drug addiction. This after it became known that ganja laced with chocolates was also seized, and how drug mafia are targeting kids. Here's a special report by Uma.
Huge dump of chocolates seized by the police because they are ganja chocolates. More than 5,800 kilos of ganja-laced chocolates were caught by Hyderabad's Narcotic Enforcement Wing just in the first quarter of this year. The target buyers, youngsters in schools and colleges, who were either deceptively introduced or try out of curiosity, succumbing to peer pressure, and eventually end up as addicts.
Some of the schools have become major targets for these drug peddlers and drug suppliers, where they are doing it in front of the schools, inside the schools and the borders, maybe using the employees of the schools. The pawn shops in front of the schools or the cool drink shops in front of the schools are, I think, supplying.
That is why the Telangana police reached out to over 3,500 schools this year to set up anti-drug committees with teaching and non-teaching staff who could identify sudden behavioral changes in students that could be linked to drug use.
We are very committed towards our society, particularly our children. They are our future. So we don't want a thug to enter into the state or an anti-nation to enter into the state.
Schools and colleges have been told the subject of drug abuse can no longer be taboo, and they cannot be in denial that they must share information that could help identify supply points, assuring them that the school's reputation and the child's confidentiality would be protected. Students have been proactively encouraged to become anti-drug soldiers.
When the things are happening, the drug abuse left, right and center around certain areas, I'm not blaming all schools, but we have information that in certain, I think, areas it is rampant. You can't turn a blind eye because it is like the very purpose of education, very purpose of being an educational institution is defeated.
I think this campaign is very important as Indians or as people of society. We need to know what's right and what's wrong. Importantly, to know what youth is doing. So this thing is important to know where the youth is going.
One of the first announcements by the new Telangana government was in fact zero tolerance towards those involved in transport and supply of narcotic substances. The state government has resolved to rid the state of drug abuse.
We have to get more than 90-95% convictions. All the big drug pins, they have to get convicted in cases. By now we are having a conviction rate of only barely 13%. And that 13% also the big fish are not getting caught. They are coming out after trial.
Just in the first quarter of 2024, Telangana has seen nearly 500 drug seizures. 487 cases were booked under the Narcotic Drugs and Psychotropic Substances Act, and 981 arrests were effected.
The priorities, if you put it, that they slowly want to rid Telangana society of this menace of drug abuse, and there is a policy of zero tolerance, that anybody who is doing this, suppose it's a student, then maybe we'll tell their parents and try to reform this student. If he is a supplier, then there will be stringent action.
Ganja or marijuana tops the list of at least 15 drugs across natural, semi-synthetic, synthetic and pharma categories. Ganja gets widely sold and consumed because it is easily available, cheaper and can be used in a variety of ways. Alprazolam, for instance, is a drug commonly used to treat sleeping disorders and anxiety. This kitchen is an apartment in Sangareddy, just 50 kilometers from Hyderabad, that was being used to cook 10 kg of pure alprozam when it was disrupted by a police team. In the rural areas too, where country liquor and ganja are both big challenges, there is now a proposal to rope in women self-help groups to create a strong information network. The women can fight as anti-drug warriors. The other area that has come under the scanner is young urban elite who frequent pubs and other social points and indulge in antisocial activity. Users in this segment, from IT professionals to those in the glamour industry, are known to abuse cocaine, MDMA, LSD, etc.
Drugs, the weed, which is commonly called the ganja, which is commonly called as weed. So that is coming in big supply from across the state.
Given the kind of intelligence and vigilance machinery, the Telangana police are confident that big consignments cannot be smuggled in. But even small consignments give birth to addicts, and that keeps the demand and supply going. In Hyderabad, with camera person Nagaraju, Uma Sudhir, NDTV.
लोन मिलेगा या नहीं, ये आपके क्रेडिट स्कोर पर डिपेंड करता है। आज ही जाइए पैसाबाजार.com पर और अपना क्रेडिट स्कोर चेक कीजिए फ्री में, क्योंकि लोन की जरूरत किसी को भी कभी भी पड़ सकती है। चल एक्टिंग थोड़ा भेल बनो। ये आया बात पैसाबाजार.com।
Stay informed and entertained with the new and updated NDTV News app. You can watch all our channels live, listen to podcasts, read breaking and exclusive news from around the world and more. Download the NDTV app today and get access to the best journalism and storytelling on your smartphone or tablet. The NDTV app. News that matters to you.
The biggest democratic exercise in the world. Team NDTV covers it from ground zero.
BJP really had to fight a tough election this time.
Unprecedented exercise. Unmatched coverage.
There is no dispute. जनता को decide करना है.
From polling to counting, NDTV brought you the most trustworthy news and updates.
Hello and welcome. You're watching Turning Point. I'm Osama Shah. The semi-finals of the T20 World Cup are here. Two unbeaten teams, India and South Africa. They will fight for a place for the semis. Up against them are the defending champions, England, who take on India, and the second best Asian team, as many are calling them, Afghanistan, who will fight it out against the Proteas. First up will be South Africa versus Afghanistan. South Africa will clash with the spirited Afghan side, who have shown that they are not to be taken lightly. They have continued their good work from the ODI World Cup to the T20 World Cup. It's a first ever semi-final appearance for Afghanistan in an ICC tournament. A feat which many believe is already a victory for Afghanistan, but going by what we have seen so far, Afghanistan, they look determined to keep going forward. South Africa, who like India, have remained unbeaten, have managed to come good in clutch moments, unlike previous campaigns. On paper, all predictions are tilting towards a South Africa win. But in cricket, anything can happen, especially in a knockout match. That match starts on Thursday at 6 a.m. Indian Standard Time. And let's first talk about the first semi-final before we come to India versus England. And joining us at this point, three senior sports journalists, Gautam Bhattacharya, Rakesh Rao and Seth Bennett. Rakesh Rao, let me start by asking you, what is that voice telling you? Is Afghanistan beating South Africa?
Yeah, Osama, you never know. But going entirely by form, of course, Afghanistan has a chance. They have a fair shot. But if you want me to pick my favorite, I'll go with South Africa.
Okay. Gautam Bhattacharya, what about you?
Yes, I mean, the format certainly makes it, it's a bit of, if anything, I would say that 60-40 in favor of South Africa. But the way Afghanistan have grown during this tournament, along with some chances of another again 35 to 40% chances of rain there as well, I would say 60-40 in favor of South Africa.
All right, and Seth Bennett, you should be giving a higher percentage to Afghanistan, considering what they did with Australia, though.
Yeah, no, I mean, they've done really well, haven't they, Afghanistan, throughout the whole of this tournament. And you've got to be impressed with their level of performance and the different ways in which they've managed to win games. You know, from the really, really tight game of their semi-final, which was a low-scoring affair with rain impacting on it, to what else they've done elsewhere in the tournament. I've got to say, though, South Africa have looked very, very strong so far. I think if you're in the second semi-final, you'll be hoping, you'll have your fingers crossed that Afghanistan can do away with South Africa and maybe, just maybe, make that route to the trophy a little bit easier.
Seth, what is it about Afghanistan that makes it so different from, say, when you compare it with Bangladesh? What is so different about Afghanistan's growth in terms of cricket?
Well, I think they've done incredibly well. They've got so many players now that are starting to have an impact within the franchise version of the game. And it just shows that actually with franchise cricket and now the shorter and the shortest forms of the game, you can find different spaces in the world where these players can make very, very good money, and you don't have to be from one of the major test playing nations to be able to have a successful career. And I think that's what Afghanistan has done really, really well, not just in Afghanistan, but a few years ago I was in Germany shooting a big program all about Afghanistan cricket because of the number of Afghan refugees that were actually in Germany, and cricket was their number one game, and cricket is growing massively in Germany on the back of that, and this success for Afghanistan at the World T20 is going to no doubt have an impact on that as well.
Rakesh Rao, can we say that Afghanistan is the second best team in Asia? Because a lot of people on the internet have been saying that.
White ball cricket? Yes, of course they are.
No, the shorter format, T20.
Yeah, exactly. So, yes, indeed, because if you just look at what they have been able to achieve consistently, they have beaten some of the big teams, and the way they routed, like New Zealand was something. Yeah. And again, now more and more people are saying it's no longer an upset or a kind of an eyebrow-raising wins when Afghanistan beats any of these big boys, because they've been there, they've been at it, they have a good attack, which we all were aware of, but now their top order is coming consistently good. So that is what exactly you need. But I think for me, the biggest revelation has been their fielding.
Yeah.
Their catching has been awesome. And I think that has actually made them look even better. So Afghanistan, for me, yes, they have it in them to beat South Africa. Because South Africa has had some close shaves against, say, teams like Nepal and Bangladesh. And of course, those last two hits against, like West Indies, 4 by Rabada, 6 by Jensen, that was also close. So South Africa has lived dangerously, although they are supposed to be unbeaten, which they are, of course. But then now they have to remain unbeaten in order to win. So South Africa is a brittle side. Beatable, yes. But pre-match assessment for me, as I said, it is South Africa.
Right. There is a reason why I refrained myself from calling that match an upset, especially Afghanistan winning against a bigger team. But Gautam Bhattacharya, is this still a big victory for Afghanistan and Afghanistan cricket? Forget about whether they beat South Africa or not. Is it still a big, big victory for Afghanistan cricket?
Absolutely. And, it hasn't come in a day. As Rakesh was also saying, I mean, they were always, they had the attack, but what they did was they fixed the loose ends in their game, and how to approach an innings, how to close the games. Their batting had been improved a number of times, and also the pace attack. They worked towards it. And then if you look at this results, and of course, Australia's defeat to India, paved the way. But no amount of upsetting them and beating them. The top team series, it's unlikely to be regarded as an upset anymore, especially in this format. Yes.
One man who has been leading them so well, Rashid Khan, Seth, he's literally leading by example. Especially with when you look at the match, the last match, he came came hit 19 runs of 10 balls, and then with the ball he picks 4 wickets for 23 runs in his 4 overs. How central is he to Afghanistan's success?
Well, he is one of the elite players in T20 cricket. It doesn't matter what nation you want to look at.
Yeah.
If you're talking the top 5 at what they do, he's probably in there. And he is an absolute superstar. He's now leading. He's able to do that little bit more with the bat, which helps in those situations. And that experience of playing around the world has played a massive impact for him. But he's a superstar. And you always hope in the big tournaments, in the World T20, in the World Cups, that your superstars come to play. He's come to play in this tournament, and that makes a huge, huge difference. And if they're going to have victory and progress to that final and maybe even go on and win the trophy at the end of it, he will be individually and singularly the most important player in this Afghan outfit.
That's absolutely true. And in fact, the number 1 T20 batter, Surya Kumar Yadav, he talks very fondly of Rashid Khan. He says that he is probably the best T20 bowler in the world. Rakesh Rao, do you agree with that assessment?
Well, I don't want to say that, because I still feel that among the spinners, at one time you find Kuldeep looking so good.
Yeah.
Sometimes you find that, like Jasprit is absolutely fantastic, but to call him as the best, that is a personal opinion. I can stick with it. But the point is, I normally don't say this, number 1, number 2, because it depends entirely on form. But yes, Rashid is impressive. World over, all the franchisees, they want him. And of course, he is one of those, you just look at his eyes. You know that this guy is hungry. He wants to make things happen. He doesn't wait for things to happen. So I think you need a person who has these all-round abilities and looks like a good leader now, since his team is, winning all those close matches. So yes, Rashid is one of the finest cricketers of modern day T20 games for sure. But to call him the best, that is, I think, Surya's personal opinion. I'll allow him to stay with it.
All right. But just in terms of character, Gautam Bhattacharya, he can get away with anything in this particular team just because what he brings to the table. We saw in the last match, tempers were flying, threw a bat against Jannat. But still, the kind of quality that Rashid Khan brings to this particular team, the entire team, they know it, and they go all out to support him, isn't it?
Yes, he is the leader who commands respect, and in terms of his performance, number 1. Number 2, if you have been playing international cricket for a number of years now, franchisee had been a journeyman playing all over. And there are theories about how to tackle Rashid, and whether you just take him on as a bowler, take him on as a googly bowler. There are all kinds of theories that float when you're tackling him, but still he has maintained the mystery about him that certainly goes a long way in establishing him about what he brings to the table.
That's true. Seth, talking about the entire bowling setup that Afghanistan has, do you think this is the best bowling unit Afghanistan have ever had, or do you disagree with that?
I think when you go back to the question you were just asking about whether or not Rashid Khan is the best bowler in the world, if you gave me the choice, Jasprit Bumrah would be my first pick. If I'm playing dream team cricket, then he would be the first guy I choose. As for Afghanistan, I think this is the best lineup that they've ever had. And that's why they've got an opportunity to win a major title. They're down to the last 4. I think this is the best lineup that they've ever had. It's probably the most balanced that they've ever had as well. The question for me is, when push comes to shove, can they score the kind of runs they need to put pressure on this South African team? Yeah. Particularly if they bat first.
Absolutely. And in fact, Afghanistan have been very cautious with their starts. Rakesh Rao, should they have to come out of their shell a little more against South Africa? Do you feel that?
Don't have to do anything new, anything different. They just have to stick to their plans, because this is a knockout game. They don't have to do anything different. Whatever they know that they do at their best, that has carried them so far. So even if they score, say, about 45, 50 runs in the first 6, it need not be 60. But they're still there, because those guys have form and confidence and self-belief of having scored, I think, something like 442 runs so far. So they don't have to do anything different. They just have to stick around, because let's not forget that South Africa has a very good attack. They have a very good pace attack.
Yeah.
So up front, they got to be careful. They have to be careful of Shamsi again. But the point is that these guys, they've started believing that, yes, up front, we can score runs, we can score 50 plus for sure. And that is where, once the foundation is laid, then these guys become very, very dangerous. But again, Afghanistan doing the chase here, I still want to see whether they are capable of doing that, because their confidence stems from the fact that they are good enough to score 140, 150, and they're confident of actually defending it. But if the wicket is slow there tomorrow, I'm sure it will be Afghanistan's game. But for me, whether Afghanistan wins or loses, the 2024 World Cup is already Afghanistan's cup.
Oh, wonderful. In fact, one disadvantage that we might call is Gurbaz and his injury. He is doubtful because of his knee injury. Gautam Bhattacharya, if he doesn't play, how big do you think it is a loss for Afghanistan?
That's going to be quite a body blow if he finally doesn't make it. I mean, he doesn't need to get those kind of blazing starts in the power play, because the games are panning out to be of a different nature here. But without him, that experience quotient would certainly be missing, and that's why South Africa will look to attack.
Right. In fact, Afghanistan's batting depth is it is something that might be a cause of worry for Afghanistan and Afghanistan fans. Seth, is that something that South Africa would be looking at? And why I'm saying this is because Afghanistan's middle order, that is from number 4 to number 7, they have the lowest strike rate among the Super 8 teams in this particular World Cup.
Potentially, but I think that they'll look at it from a South African perspective and just feel that if they deliver on their skills, so if they deliver a strong bowling performance, they deliver a strong batting performance, they will feel that they have enough in the tank to be able to win this fixture. And I think that's going to be the challenge. Obviously, the pitch is going to be interesting as well. If it is slow, if it is low, what impact is that going to have on scoring rates? Again, you look at what Afghanistan did in their quarterfinal, in their last group game, should I say, not quarterfinal, but when you look at what they did, is they put themselves in a really potentially quite a difficult position because of their slow scoring rate.
Yeah.
If a South African batting lineup is against that kind of number, if you're not getting in excess of 150, 160, 170, all of a sudden it gets really, really, really difficult to defend a small total against that South African lineup. So for me, that's going to be one of the keys, particularly if Afghanistan bat first. They've got to make sure that they're scoring at a high enough rate that there is some scoreboard pressure on that South African side. A low number, it'll be too easy for them.
In fact, South Africa have had a few nervy moments in this particular World Cup. But Rakesh Rao, unlike previous campaigns, they have managed to cross the line. Is that something that might be the difference between winning the trophy this time?
Possibly, yeah. Because, there were occasions when we were actually reminded of that South Africa of old, that they appeared to be choking. The way they stopped, like Nepal, which was dramatic.
Yeah.
The way they stopped, like a team like Bangladesh, it was amazing. And of course, just imagine they lose their top half and the guys who normally score, and eventually it is Rabada's 4 that gives them that hope that they can win. And then of the very next ball of the new over, that is, Jensen hits a 6 to finish it off. So no nerves there. So what I wanted to actually say was this South African team has so far averted that kind of a situation where we could all say, look, we knew that this team was capable of choking. This time around, they've remained unbeaten, and that is what is all about. I mean, this South African team is all about. I think they've flirted with unwanted, danger, but they've come out stronger. So having said that, against a team like Afghanistan, they'll be wary of the attack, yes. But then I think they don't have to go up to Rabada and Jensen to do the trick with the bat. I think they are capable of handling these guys, but they got to be careful, because these guys have played enough of these, all these Afghanistani bowlers, and that is what gives me the confidence that Afghanistan's best moment is firmly behind them. But yes, I'm not ruling out a kind of a surprise result on an upset, which I don't want to call it so. But then an Afghan win cannot be ruled out. But it seems like Afghanistan has already hit a high. Now for them to come back to Mother Earth and again, start from scrap and start from scratch, and then to perform in a big knockout game, which is the first of their, lifetime. It will be a big ask, but yes, all the people from India will be favoring Afghanistan. If prayers have any meaning or any significance, we are going to see that tomorrow.
All right, but on paper as well, South Africa is still a better team than Afghanistan. What might be that one weakling that Afghanistan can target? Well, we'll have to wait and watch for that first semi-final that starts at 6 a.m. on Thursday. Gentlemen, stay with us because after the break, we'll be talking about that other big clash that is India versus England.
लोन मिलेगा या नहीं ये आपके क्रेडिट स्कोर पे डिपेंड करता है। तो आज ही अपना क्रेडिट स्कोर चेक करें फ्री में पैसाबाजार.com पर। लोन की जरूरत कभी भी किसी को भी पड़ सकती है।
ठीक से एक्टिंग नहीं।
पैसाबाजार.com।
Stay informed and entertained with the new and updated NDTV News app. You can watch all our channels live, listen to podcasts, read breaking and exclusive news from around the world and more. Download the NDTV app today and get access to the best journalism and storytelling on your smartphone or tablet. The NDTV app. News that matters to you. NDTV proudly upholds its legacy of trust and credibility, according to the prestigious Reuters Institute's Digital News Report 2000.
Welcome back. It is the repeat of the 2022 World Cup semi-final. It is India versus England in the second semi-final of the T20I World Cup 2024. While it didn't really pan out well for the Men in Blue last time around, where they exited the tournament after England convincingly and comprehensively beat them and ultimately went on to win that World Cup. Now, having come so close to lifting the ODI World Cup, Rohit's men, they will be pushing to go the distance this time around. What happens there? Well, only time will tell. We're talking about that particular match. That match will happen at the Providence Stadium in Guyana on Thursday, and it starts at 8 p.m. Indian Standard Time. Now, this ground is known to assist spinners, so do expect both the teams going in with an extra spinner there. We're still joined by Gautam Bhattacharya, Rakesh Rao and Seth Bennett. Seth, first to you. Who are you giving the edge there? India beating England comprehensively?
Well, you would say that, of course. Look, I would say that India are probably favourites just in this fixture. England have had a really mixed tournament where there have been fixtures where they've looked really dominant and really, really good with the bat, but against the better, stronger opposition, have they been good enough? Against the better bowling attacks, has their batting stood up in the way that you'd want? Have we seen enough of the likes of a Harry Brook in this tournament? Yeah. We've seen flashes, but we've not seen loads. Same with Joss Buttler. He was absolutely magnificent in that last game.
That's true. Rakesh Rao, Seth Bennett, last time around when we were talking about the 2022 World Cup, Seth Bennett said that India were strong, they were going to win. India has the edge, they are a better team, and look what happened there. What happens now, it is a repeat of the 2022 semi-final. Do you think that would be playing on either team's mind there?
Just as a thought, yes, because of the fact that, you always remember your defeats more. And if you are looking to avenge that loss, yes. But the point is, what are you going to do with that? You are only going to stay focused on the job ahead. And of course, all this talk about revenge and, settling scores, all this happens after the game is over. Because till then, you are only focused on the next ball and you want to actually do this. Because these guys are all hardcore pros. So don't expect them to get swayed by, background and kind of, revenge stories and stuff like that. But yes, Indians have a score to settle, yes. But then I don't think that's going to be playing on their minds when they step out tomorrow. But yes, England is one team. If you see their journeys so far, except West Indies, they haven't beaten a full member side in this entire journey, and they find themselves in the semi-finals. They got these weak teams, they hammered them completely, and they needed to do exactly that. But the point is that team good enough to beat India? Yes, they are, because they are a champion side. They know what to do with the Indians. But if it's a slow wicket, and if India wins the toss first, then I'll be favoring India outright. No question about it. But then if they put the runs on the board, then it'll be difficult for us, because they have the attack. They have a Adil Rashid there. If the ball is, if the surface is assisting turn, then Indians will have their task cut out.
All right, Gautam Bhattacharya, one final comment from you before we wrap the show. Who do you think has the edge, and will India get one over against England?
Well, Osama, I've been hearing little disquieting reports about the weather there. Should the match take place, Guyana has a reputation of slow wicket. I would give the edge to India, provided they can exercise their demons, as we call it.
All right, Gautam Bhattacharya, thank you very much for getting for your thoughts and views. Gentlemen, we'll have to leave it at this. There is some breaking news coming in at this point. In fact, Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal, CBI has got a 3-day custody of Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal in the Delhi liquor policy case. The Delhi court has remanded Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal to CBI custody for 3 days in the liquor policy case. And Ishika joins us to get us more details. Ishika, so the Delhi Chief Minister will remain in jail for the next 3 days. What happens?
Well, as you in fact, rightly mentioned, Osama, that today CBI had in fact formally arrested Arvind Kejriwal in the Rouse Avenue Court, and after that they were seeking a 5-day remand of Arvind Kejriwal, and now in fact the court has granted a 3 days custody of Arvind Kejriwal to the CBI. So certainly this is the big breaking that we are getting at the moment. Remember that the CBI, what today they had said in the court was that if you look at all the meetings that had happened during the lockdown, and how, in fact, the South Lobby, it was on the saying of the South Lobby that the entire liquor policy, was modified, and all of this was being done on the behest of Arvind Kejriwal. So all of these, points were put forth by the CBI in the court. In fact, CBI also went on to say that it was Vijay Nair, who was the communication in charge of the Aam Aadmi Party, who was coordinating most of these meetings. And they said, the CBI today claimed in the court that Arvind Kejriwal is in fact not accepting that Vijay Nair was working under him. Rather, Arvind Kejriwal says that they were reporting to Saurabh Bhardwaj and in fact Atashi. CBI also went on to claim that Arvind Kejriwal is putting the onus on Manish Sisodia, to which Arvind Kejriwal had himself responded in the court, saying that this is a wrong statement. He never said this, and he says that, what he says here is that both him and Manish Sisodia are innocent. But even after that, we are seeing it that now the court has given a 3 days custody to the CBI. CBI has said that they have documents and more evidence that they need to confront Arvind Kejriwal with. So certainly that is now going to happen.
All right, Ishika Verma, thank you very much for getting us all the latest. So the latest is that Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal will remain in jail for the next 3 days. The court has said that the CBI must present Arvind Kejriwal on June 29th.
लोन मिलेगा या नहीं, ये आपके क्रेडिट स्कोर पे डिपेंड करता है। तो आज ही पैसाबाजार.com पर जाइए और अपना क्रेडिट स्कोर चेक कीजिए फ्री में, क्योंकि लोन की जरूरत कभी भी किसी को भी पड़ सकती है। बस एक्टिंग करा लो इनसे। पैसाबाजार.com, क्रेडिट स्कोर चेक, आदत अच्छी है।
Stay informed and entertained with the new and updated NDTV News app. You can watch all our channels live, listen to podcasts, read breaking and exclusive news from around the world and more. Download the NDTV app today and get access to the best journalism and storytelling on your smartphone or tablet. The NDTV app. News that matters to you.
The biggest democratic exercise in the world.
या फिर
Team NDTV covers it from ground zero.
BJP really had to fight a tough election this time.
Unprecedented exercise.
भारतीय जनता पार्टी ने ये देश के विकास
Unmatched coverage.
There is no dispute. जनता को decide करना है.
From polling to counting, NDTV brought you the most trustworthy news and updates. Elections mean NDTV.
Some people say the metaverse will only be virtual. One day this lecture hall will be made of code, and driverless cars would be trapped in intersections. But even in this maze of the future, you can't wish away health. It's time to become more resilient. "10 years of Banega Swasth India, we have grown and achieved so many milestones. And now I have a plan to beat the urgency, to stop breathing with difficulty, to relieve getting choked with inactivity. Energize our government, our
This is NDTV, and you're watching NDTV 24/7.
Hello, Moto.
Hello and welcome to the Southern View. I'm Veera Raghav. Special focus this evening on the tussle for more Deputy Chief Ministers posts in Karnataka and Tamil Nadu's resolution demanding a national caste census. But first, the top national headlines we're tracking this hour. Starting with Arvind Kejriwal. He'll have to spend 3 more days in jail as the CBI gets 3-day custody of the Delhi Chief Minister. He was arrested by the CBI while in ED custody earlier in the day. He categorically denied giving a statement indicting his colleague Manish Sisodia in the excise policy scam. The big showdown in Parliament is over emergency after the Speaker Om Birla is elected. Opposition protests and says the Speaker condemning the emergency is unfortunate and divisive, even as the BJP, led by the Prime Minister, lauded the Speaker for highlighting excesses. Tamil Nadu seeks 10 days' time from the Madras High Court to file a report in the illicit liquor tragedy. Death toll rises to 63 and the opposition continues its aggressive push for a CBI probe in the state. Prajwal Revanna's troubles continue as he remains in CID custody. His bail plea is rejected by a special court in Bengaluru. First up, a quick check of that top national face-off in the Parliament. After the Speaker Om Birla was elected, the Speaker began his new term by condemning the declaration of emergency in 1975 and called for a 2-minute silence. This led to sharp protests by the opposition, which has consistently accused the government of using the 50-year-old emergency to divert attention from present-day issues such as the NEET controversy and violence in Manipur. BJP MPs later protested on the steps of the Parliament, and the Prime Minister posted a message lauding the Speaker for condemning the emergency and highlighting the excesses during that time. The Congress argued that the Speaker's decision was divisive. Earlier in the day, the Congress did not press for a division vote in the Parliament in the House while electing the Speaker, as the party said it wanted to foster a spirit of consensus, quote-unquote, despite having fielded K. Suresh to contest for the post. Rahul Gandhi, who's now officially the leader of opposition, congratulated the Speaker along with the Prime Minister and other leaders. Let's listen into all the reactions that came in from Parliament today.
Today is the 26th June. On this day, on 26 June 1975, early morning 6 a.m., then Prime Minister Srimati Indira Gandhi called emergency cabinet meeting and ratified post facto the single decision. Prime Minister took the decision alone. Cabinet rectified on the morning of 26 June 1975. That is why today we passed the resolution in the House that such tramplation of such a demolition of the Constitution will not be allowed again. So we have taken a resolution.
Look, I think the Speaker's election went out fairly amicably, and as you saw, all the opposition leaders stood up and pledged cooperation with the Speaker and talked about the need for the House to function through consensus and through all voices being heard. It's rather unfortunate, it seems to me, that the Speaker himself has ended up undermining that spirit with a very divisive statement about the emergency, which frankly was not necessary. It was 49 years ago. It's not even a round number anniversary to even mention it. But if you have to mention it, to go on at such length on a day in which the message was supposed to be one of conciliation, cooperation and consensus, was most unfortunate.
NDTV's Sunil Prabhu now joins me live. Sunil, the tone is set for one of confrontation, the aggression from both sides clear, but is there any clarity on any forward movement on the Deputy Speaker's post?
Well, no clarity as of now. It's definitely, as you rightly pointed out, aggression on both sides. I think both sides have their candidates. The TDP has been promised the Deputy Speaker's post, and they would like the junior Balya Yogi to be given and nominated for that. And that's, I think, a commitment that has been made. And that's the reason for why the government was not ready to give the opposition the Deputy Speaker's post. And Mr. K. Suresh, who contested for the Speaker's post, is expected to be once again the nominee for the India bloc at this time in terms of being candidate as a Deputy Speaker. But definitely things not looking good in terms of parliamentary democracy. Both sides, one talking about saving the Constitution, the other talking about emergency and raising up issues. Tomorrow the President will address. Clearly, I think back channel discussion will definitely need to be done if they want Parliament to run and function, and if they want to get down with legislative business.
That's right, Sunil. You're making an important point in terms of back-channel negotiations between the two sides. Thanks very much for that update. Of course, Sunil will be keeping a close watch of all that's happening there. Meanwhile, a quick update on that enormous illicit liquor tragedy in Tamil Nadu. 63 people in all have lost their lives and 76 are still in hospital. Meanwhile, the AIDMK and the BJP have been on an offensive in the State Assembly and are demanding a CBI probe. The Madras High Court, which is hearing a petition by an AIDMK functionary asking for the case to be transferred to the CBI, and in the court, the Tamil Nadu government has sought 10 days' time to file a report. NDTV's Sam Daniel now joins us live. Sam, clearly the opposition parties, which include the AIDMK, the principal opposition party, and the BJP on an offensive in the state, but the bigger question will be about how things play out at the Madras High Court.
That's right, Veer Raghu. I'm not able to hear you very clearly, but the Tamil Nadu government has sought a 10-day time from the Madras High Court to be able to file their counter to two pleas, one by an AIDMK leader and another by a PMK leader, both asking for a CBI probe, alleging that the state has not learnt any lessons. There is connivance between the alleged bootleggers and enforcement agencies, and also complicity of the DMK functionaries, which the DMK denies. And last week, the Madras High Court had made some sharp observations asking the state government whether any lessons were learned and what kind of measures were put in place to stop the movement of illegal methanol, which has turned killer this time. And last time, 22 people had died. And state government sources say since the petition by the PMK has raised several other points, they need time to file their counter. And the AIDMK also was on an offensive on the floor of the Tamil Nadu Assembly, asking the Chief Minister to resign. And there again, the Speaker had suspended them for the whole session, as they did not want to wait till the 0 hour was over. And MK Stalin once again said that the state has done whatever is possible in the interest of the public, whereas the AIDMK, he calls, is only seeking cheap publicity. But the larger question, 63 people have died. Will families get justice? And all those who are responsible, despite the action taken by the government in terms of suspensions and transfers, will they be held accountable?
Right, Sam, you keep a close watch on all those developments there in Tamil Nadu. Now to an issue that was a talking point during the run-up to the Lok Sabha elections, but will caste census be a reality? The Tamil Nadu Assembly today passed a resolution demanding a national caste census. The resolution was moved by the state's Chief Minister M.K. Stalin and came after the Patali Makkal Kanchi, an NDA ally, demanding a 10.5% quota for the one-year castes within the 20% quota for OBCs in the state. While Tamil Nadu has passed that resolution, the larger question is really whether there will ever be a consensus on caste census which has different realities in different states. Even within the INDIA alliance or even the Congress, for instance, there are sharply differing points of view. And even after several years of conducting a socio-economic survey, for instance, states like Karnataka haven't released that data for fear of upsetting the status quo and a political backlash. So is the demand for a caste census just pure political talk with no reality inside? Joining us this evening, senior journalist Smita Gupta, political analyst Manisha Priyam, and Professor Chandan Gowda. Smita, my first question to you. One has often heard political demands for a caste census that's been made, but it seems like something of a distant reality, given that it could be treacherous politically to upset the status quo for several political forces.
You're right, Veeraraghav. It would be treacherous for many political parties. But the fact is that I think what has really changed is that the Congress party, which is today, which has been the largest opposition party and now has increased its numbers, greatly, is in favor of a caste census. Earlier, the only parties that used to push for a caste census were the so-called Mandal parties, and of course the parties in the southern half of the country. But now with the Congress also joining this, I think the pressure will be that much greater. The ruling party, the BJP at the center, has consistently been opposed to a caste census because it feels that the OBCs that it managed to get on board over the last decade, especially in the northern half of the country, that the kind of equations it has built will be upset and it will have to rework it. Because clearly, of course, we can see, take the example of Bihar, which has released this data and which has announced that 63% of the people there are OBCs. And of course, the numbers of different OBC communities have also changed. So, while the reason for having a caste census is, of course, a noble one that suggests that if you have a proper caste census, then you can target, whatever goods the state, allocates for people can be targeted in a better way, in a fairer way. But I think getting to that last point will be very difficult.
In a more statistically backed way in terms of demands for internal reservation within quota within quota can be dealt with on the basis of data if there was a caste census. But Chandan Gowda, even for states like Karnataka, which have conducted socio-economic survey, it's become very difficult to release that data because it could upset the status quo. For a party like the DMK, which has Tamil Nadu being the only state with 69% reservation as well, it is an issue to upset the status quo of the internal allocations between the OBC or the MBC castes in that state, which is why it's been put on the center rather than the state itself taking up a socio-economic survey. Is that the reality?
There are two quick responses. See, if the caste census report in Karnataka hasn't been made public yet, and I think there were some doubts about the methodology used and the soundness of it, and it is the backward class commission chair who has to defend what he has done, and that is yet to be seen. So there are those, and so I wouldn't simply say here are dominant castes opposing it because their interests will be hurt. We don't know the contents of the census yet. The other thing, Veera, collecting caste census data is hugely time-consuming, it costs money, and it's effort. If you think about it, the 10-year census that is done, that is the best equipped to do it, because it's just a question of adding another column to an existing, information sheet, and you gather the data you need, and you can correlate that with all the other essential data points: education, class, gender, region, all these indices by which you judge whether a community is advanced or backward, quote unquote. So the Tamil Nadu's demand that it be done by the center should not be seen as only, it's something that they would themselves like not to do, but shifting it to somebody else. I don't think that's the rationale. It's really in everyone's interest to do it along with the regular census, which anyway is going to be done sometime soon, I hope. But Veera, in addition to be able to decide internal reservation better, there's also the other real serious question of removing certain communities from the backward caste list and adding a few deserving ones into it. And all of that can happen only when you have recent data. Because if we keep going back to the 1931 data, we can't decide on any of these things.
Right. As you're making that point, Manisha Priyam, you have observed several states, including Bihar, where the socio-economic survey or the caste data were released. From the verdict of 2024, do you believe that it gives greater push for caste census nationally, or having that kind of a data, or is it still just political saber rattling?
No, I think in the state of Bihar, having the caste census had a lot of ring on the ground, and I was amazed to see as to how much of local discussions was centered around the fact that a caste census has indeed happened. And many people would tell me, you wait and see, the results that will come out will surprise all of you. So in a sense, there was one definite positive, and which was that we were simply extrapolating 1931 data, and there was some relief in large parts of the population. And you remember also that in Bihar, we have a much larger rural population. And residing in rural areas is a disadvantage in its own way. So there was some relief that at least we are being counted in. There might be a few things that may happen in the future. And that had a ring and resonance on the ground, to the extent that in the run-up to the elections, I saw OBC caste, even MLAs of the BJP, equivalent to what's called the Vaniyar caste, the Vaniyars on this side, they had gathered in a meeting and they said, look, we want to follow the trail of the caste census. Many of the groups, Bihar has a very low population of scheduled tribes, but there are groups now that live on the Bihar-Nepal border, and I could see their aspirations rising and saying that we now want to be listed as a scheduled tribe. So what I could see was a classic M.N. Srinivas type of sociological churning, where people were looking at the counting process itself as being some way of according them a place in the hierarchy or a possible place in the future public policy. Having said that, I do agree with Chandan that having specific caste census does not help with anything. It's the normal census that should be held soon, and these should be this data should be collected along with the normal census data. The second and more tricky point is, how do you determine social and economic backwardness? You need to pull out some groups. Those questions remain important still.
There are very technical questions, as you point out. Remember, often the caste census or caste issue is picked up for political reasons as well in terms of the power struggle. Stay with us, Smita Gupta, Manisha Priyam and Chandan Gowda, because we're now shifting focus to the power tussle in Karnataka. The demand for creating more deputy CM posts in the state has reached the Congress High Command. Post the Lok Sabha poll results, there has been a renewed push from cabinet ministers like the PWD minister Satish Jarkioli to create more deputy CM posts. Jarkioli has reportedly taken the issue to Congress President Mallikarjun Kharge along with a few other MLAs and ministers in the state. And the demand now is for 3 deputy CMs, if not more, in the state from different communities. In this tussle, BJP leaders have alleged infighting in the Congress and a power struggle at the state unit as well. Remember, the post the Assembly election victory of the Congress in an effort to placate Chief Minister aspirant DK Shivkumar. At that time, the arrangement was that he would be the only deputy CM along with being the Congress state president. However, in the Lok Sabha polls, DK Shivkumar's brother DK Suresh lost the Bengaluru rural seat, and the party's poor showing in the OBC Vokkaliga vote heartland is seen as having considerably weakened DK Shivkumar's position. Chief Minister Siddaramaiah, though, has said the High Command will take the final decision on this issue. So has the Lok Sabha poll results changed power equations in Karnataka, and what does more deputy CMs mean for the old power equation between DK Shivkumar and Siddaramaiah in the state? Smita Gupta, Chandan Gowda and Manisha Priyam with us. Chandan, first to you. Given the results of the 2024 Lok Sabha polls, do you see it as a big hit on DK Shivkumar's aspirations for the Chief Minister's post? In a sense, making Siddaramaiah a little more comfortable at the top. With more deputy CMs, the power would be, the position of DK Shivkumar would be equal to the rest in the Congress.
Veera, if you recall, soon after the Assembly election results were out, and when you had the announcement that DK Shivkumar would be the lone Deputy Chief Minister, you already heard these very people you're hearing today make a bid for the Deputy CM position. And the rationale being the Dalits, the tribals, and the minorities, and the Lingayats have voted for Congress in large numbers, and that ought to be recognized by accommodating leaders from these communities in a powerful decision-making forum, right? And that had been sort of, went on the back burner. The elections, in Lok Sabha elections have concluded, and you've heard them being renewed. And of course, what you mentioned earlier, that losing his brother's seat in Bengaluru rural may also be a catalyst, but I don't think it's entirely because of the Lok Sabha elections that these have happened. I think these were lingering demands for, greater community-based leadership representation in influential arena. And we have to just see what the High Command is going to say. Siddaramaiah said, I'm not going to respond, let the High Command respond. And Veera, they're asking for the Deputy CM position as if these positions in themselves carry power. As you know, they don't. It's not even a portfolio. It is just a position without any...
No, but it's more a question of symbolic assertions, Chandan. It's a symbolic assertion of the power of certain leaders in the cabinet who have, as you rightly point out, have been making a demand. But this was part of the arrangement, we were told at the start after the assembly elections.
So, Manisha, what I was about to get at was, maybe the result is going to be something like a core committee. Without deputy CM positions, maybe there'll be a core committee formed with a few other people.
Manisha Priyam, but do you see... Manisha Priyam, do you see a change in power equations? We seem to have lost Manisha Priyam's connection there, but Smita Gupta, having been a long-time observer of the Congress, do you believe that the power equations and the power balance in Karnataka changes post the Lok Sabha election result?
Well, as Professor Gowda pointed out, these were long-standing demands. However, the reason that DK Shivkumar was made the only Deputy Chief Minister was an acknowledgement of the role that he played in the victory the Congress won in Karnataka. In fact, many people felt at that time that perhaps DK Shivkumar's contribution to the Congress's victory, especially because he was behind the whole the propaganda, the communications, the social media effort made by the party, that he was actually a contender for the Chief Minister's job. But in the end, the Congress made him concede that post and said that Siddaramaiah should become the chief minister, you become the deputy chief minister, and there was some talk about D.K. Shivkumar becoming chief minister perhaps after 2.5 years. So this appears to be an effort by Mr. Siddaramaiah to, stymie that effort. And I agree that Lok Sabha results are probably being used as an excuse. The defeat of Mr. D.K. Shivkumar's brother is being used as an excuse to bring back this on the front burner. But I would say that the Congress...
Important point that you make there.
Long-term observer, that I think it would be a mistake to change the setup, because what the Congress really needs, as we have seen the results this time, they've doubled their numbers in Parliament. This is a resurgent Congress. It should learn some lessons. They need more D.K. Shivkumars in the party, not just in Karnataka, but everywhere in the other states.
Okay, you're making an important point. I just want to get Manisha Priyam very quickly into this. Manisha, given that Smita is making a very important point, saying that the Lok Sabha election result, in fact, Smita and Chandan, the Lok Sabha election result has is only being used by the different power factions to create, push their point of view across. But the fact that the Congress did not win in the old Mysore region, the fact that the JDS is now part of a truly coalition government in New Delhi, where does that leave the old power equations in the Congress, which was considered held by the two champions from the old Mysuru region, Siddaramaiah and D.K. Shivkumar? The others, do you believe, will start asserting themselves?
Yes, this demand is a definite assertion. And what I saw, I've just spent about 10 days in Bangalore and Karnataka trying to understand what happened. Yes, the Lok Sabha election results and the loss of the seat by D.K. Suresh has had a role. But I also saw that in the state of Karnataka itself, the momentum of the victories picked up in the second round of the elections. The first round was also one where there was a large belief that whatever we do, the BJP will make the government in the center and they will have 300 plus seats. Now, that was a mind-boggling kind of information asymmetry. In many parts of India, there was a certain disbelief that whatever we may have done in the assembly elections, in the Lok Sabha elections, jeetega to Modi hi kind of thing. So that poll kind of hung over there. By the second round, they had picked up. So definitely they have not done very well in the old Mysore region, and questions should be asked. But the fact is, questions are being largely asked of D.K. Shivkumar. So that's something that needs to be understood. There was also some discomfort with the guarantee schemes, how it's going to be paid up, and the hiring of BCG, etc. was something around which there was a lot of discomfort. A lot of the consultants who'd worked with the old BJP government are now seen as advisors.
Manisha, I'm sorry,
in
but
the new government.
We seem to be having some... we seem to be having some trouble with your connection there, but we're also running completely out of time on this show. But we'll keep a close watch on how that power equations develop over the coming days and how the High Command, as Smita points out, takes a call on this. Thanks very much for joining us. That's all we have time for on the Southern View. News and updates continue right here on NDTV.
Hello, Moto.
Motorola, India's best 5G smartphone brand.
लोन मिलेगा या नहीं, ये आपके क्रेडिट स्कोर पे डिपेंड करता है।